No, I don't like that particularly. Hello. Oh, Sarah.
That's Sarah.
That must be Toonie.
I'll be
Hi,
right
Sarah.
back.
Okay. Glenda, can you hear us?
I'm
Glenda,
back.
Glenda, can you hear us?
You don't have
She's
audio
connecting.
on yet.
She's connecting.
Yeah, connecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, audio's not connecting
Yeah.
yet.
How are you, Sarah?
I am good. We are freaking out with kind of interested enjoyment over, we passed our inspection of our solar system.
Oh, good.
Anyway, so we've got, I don't know if you can see it, but we have something that tells us on our iPhone whether we're giving back to the grid or using from the grid. It's kind of weird. Yeah,
Huh, neat.
all very interesting. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. Glenda, do you have audio yet? Glenda. Hey, Glenda, can you hear me? No, she's still trying.
And
Dan, what about you, Dan?
We don't have audio with Dan either.
How about you, Toonie?
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, we can hear you. Okay,
Hi.
thank you.
Hear you.
Purple lady.
Purple Purple Lady is Toonie, who works for tax supervising in Portland. You know, the tax supervising that checks our budgets for us and everything. That's who she is. Glenda, can we hear you yet? Glenda's still working on hers. She's working away. Uh-oh.
Somebody's probably calling.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Corbett Water. Hi, Dan. Yeah, we're not getting audio with you. No, we weren't. And we lost you completely now.
Is Dan just going to be on his phone?
No, his phone hooks to the whole thing. You'll see him and everything. So, and I see that you have one of those backgrounds there, Toonie.
So you
Yes.
so Dan's budget packet didn't have any of the budget in it.
I thought that was your backyard.
He got the budget last month. I didn't put the new
Oh,
pages
okay.
in.
You had it last month.
Did he not have it?
Do you still have last month? Yeah.
And I put him there if he didn't have it to call me.
Of course we do. We have an extra copy here.
Yeah, lots of copies.
Yes, you can.
Looks like Glenda's still trying to connect to audio.
Glenda's still trying to connect. Yeah, we might call her.
Can she hear us?
Okay.
I don't know if she can or not.
Okay.
Glenda, can you hear me?
All right. Thanks. Bye.
I don't think she can hear
That's
us.
Dan across the street. So
Dan
we're
across the street.
He's right across. He had to get away from the kids.
Oh,
So he's
Glenda.
parked.
Oh, well, yeah. I think just a second. Let's see. Just the budget. No, that's not the budget. That's the board meeting. So the budget. Here's the budget message. I don't have the stuff that I just gave him yesterday. Here you go. And have you got the stuff that I sent you yesterday? Though?
Yeah, I've
You
got
got
all-
that?
I've-
Okay, so
On the email stuff or
The email and
or
the
packets?
packet?
I got all the packets. I was just like, okay, I'll open it up and give me the budget stuff again.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
There you go.
okay.
So you got the patent.
I'll go
That's the
have that
frame.
I got good reception there. It's
Purple lady,
Yeah.
Yes,
where do you live?
I live out in Rainier, Oregon,
Oh, okay.
50 miles from Portland.
Wow. Okay. And what's your real name?
Toonie Betchart.
Suni?
Toonie, yes. Toonie
Suni.
Betchart.
And
And
I'm
I've been with TSDC for, close,
I don't know if Glenda can see that.
I'm going on my 16th year with TSDC.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we oversee the budgets within Multnomah County. So we don't normally get to attend all of the budget hearings or budget committee meetings. So this is kind of nice.
Might have to call her up.
We're enjoying it.
695.
Yeah. Right on that one.
She sort of looks like she is waiting for 6 o'clock or something, you know?
Oh, got more need to be omitted. Hang on, we got
Dan's
more
back,
people.
okay.
Yep.
So let's see if we can get some more on here. Soon there's gonna be so many of us, we're gonna be little tiny thumbprints.
Oh, good.
There's Dan. Hi, Dan.
Hi.
Hi, Dan.
All right, I'm gonna
I'm
check.
seeing Jeff's audio is ceiling or something.
Yeah, how about I do that? Is that better? I can just hide the picture.
No, you look better than your hand.
Thanks. That makes me feel better.
So Jeff, we especially like your ceiling. That looks like a sprinkler head there at the top.
He's connecting to audio
I know, I
also.
was gonna say he can't hear us either. There's Rick. Hi, Rick.
Ah,
Hi, Rick. Can you hear me? No, his is connecting to audio. Chris, what about you? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can see you.
Can you hear
All
me now?
right. Well, there you go.
yeah.
You hear Jeff?
Hi,
Yeah.
Jeff.
I just came out of the yard, so.
Looks like Rick's connected. So Linda and Kelly, we still don't have sound.
Kelly, can you talk to us?
I can.
Yeah. Oh,
There we got Rick now. We've got Jeff. We've got Dan. And Glenda's is still trying to connect.
Hi, it's Kelly.
Has anybody called?
Kelly.
Glenda? Hey, Gail, have y'all tried calling Glenda?
Not yet.
Look up her.
Yeah, I gotta look her phone number up. Oh, I forgot yours is over here.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not gonna have a look. Fred, Jeff, H, Dan. Dan, what's his name? Dan's, I already have Dan.
Hey, Fred. Oh, Fred's on.
Fred.
Connecting to audio yet.
He's still connecting. Okay. So Kelly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10.
Fred Sanchez here.
Hi, Fred.
Hi, Fred.
Bob.
Fred.
Hey,
We don't have it. Well, Toonie counts, but she doesn't count towards budget committee members.
Right.
Yeah. We're
On
missing
your audio.
And
Malcolm.
We still, Malcolm and, yeah, we still need to get Glenda.
Yeah, oh yeah, Glenda's phone number, sorry.
695.
Oh, that's not gonna do it again. No. Okay, her number is right there. I don't want to say it out loud.
Oh, okay.
It says it's connecting, so that's good. Hey, Toonie, you and Dan down here have the same background.
Oh, good.
Glenda up at Corbett
We
Water.
see one.
Can
not
you
see
hear
everybody.
us? Because it shows you have no audio yet.
And I called in on my phone and said I didn't have audio, so I had to connect with my computer.
So you had to connect through your phone? Is that what you did?
No, I called in and it wouldn't connect. I mean, it said I was put on hold. So I had to connect.
Oh,
with
okay.
audio.
Huh. Oh, that's weird.
How do you get the fancy San Francisco background?
Well, when I first went on, it asked me if I wanted to just have a background, and I chose one. Makes it
And it
easier.
doesn't say anything like rejoin or anything like that? So you want to go out and try again? Why don't
And
you
choose a
click- or is there an
background.
X on that Zoom cloud meeting thing? Because we can still see you. Yep, I can see you right now. I can see you looking at your screen. I can see you with your phone to your ear. I have my phone to my ear and I'm talking to you.
Hey, Rick.
Well, we'll see what it says. One person is waiting. Okay, that's Matt. Just a second, that's showing. But it still shows you as there, Glenda. That's what's weird. Maybe we
Bob
should-
going and showing up. Oh, there's Mel.
Yes, it should be right now. That should be him.
Okay, try. Okay, well, let me see. I wonder if I should. I'm gonna remove you. Maybe I wonder if I remove him, will she be able to get back in?
Yeah, she should be able
Okay,
to go back.
all right,
and try
I'm gonna
signing
remove you
in.
from the meeting, Glenda, and then
Thank
try
you. Have her
and
sign
come
out.
back in again, okay? So try to re-sign in, okay?
Let's see, tab 8.
We'll hang up and then we'll call you back, okay? All right, that's all right, bye-bye. So did I get her out of there though? No, so she's there, she's still there. Well, let me move her.
No, don't
Oh.
do no telecancel.
You want- Oh, cancel, okay. Well, we'll see. See if it's working. We've got, is that, oh, that's Jeff. Keep seeing it.
Galaxy Tab A.
It's Galaxy Tab A.
That's
Oh,
probably
Bob
Bob,
Gohan.
and he's
Okay.
not connecting to audio yet.
Mhm. Where's Malcolm? How come we can't see Malcolm? Malcolm, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure.
You got a black screen.
You have a
Can't
black
see you.
Oh, I see, got it.
You kept saying
Yeah.
you're gonna let me in someday.
Yeah, well, you're in there. We just can't see you. Your screen's black, so you're just a dark black. Uh-oh. Must be Glenda again.
Hi. Okay, so are you going through the
1,
Zoom?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Because it shows you. It,
Gail, do you know how many we have?
We have 10, or we have 1, 2, 3, 4,
12.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, we have 10 committee
You
members.
show up here.
On now?
Does that make sense? Okay, because there's only 10 total, but we're missing some people. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. We have 9.
No, you shouldn't have to do. So are you on your phone or are you on? You're on the tablet. So on the tablet, did you download so you had the Zoom?
Christina,
And you clicked on the Zoom and said to join me.
my name's Sarah.
Press
That is the
the
most
number.
beautiful paneling
And
in
then
the
the
back of
password.
your room. That's beautiful. Looks like Dan picked the same background as Purple Lady.
Number.
The only choice I have.
Oh,
I have to sign back out and sign back in because it shouldn't have asked you for that any other information beyond that first number. And that's me. I'm holding the phone and Gail's walking behind you so you can see us. We just don't have audio with you.
Oh, is that him right there? That's Bob right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But he's,
I see your face now, Bob.
yeah, we're starting to see you.
We
Now
see
we
you
just
better.
need to get you your
You
audio.
just need audio. So what are we missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As soon as Bob's audio connects, everybody's there.
Are we organized enough to start?
how come
Can you
Bob
hear
has,
anybody else?
why does Bob have 2 blocks?
You can see people.
Oh, no,
So
that's
you need
Malcolm.
to.
Never mind.
That's Malcolm.
Both twice.
So go down, you've got a black screen, right? Right, no, but you've got the screen. Take your, in the lower left-hand corner of it, if you took your cursor down to the lower left-hand corner, it should show you a microphone. Okay, click on that.
Well, if you're on an
Sarah.
iPad, it's up in the right-hand corner to the top. Is that what you said? Because
Oh, up on the
I had
right hand
problems
top
with
of the right.
volume the other
Oh.
day.
Then they said maybe in an iPad at the upper top, but he says he's got
Yeah,
it at
and
the
if you're
bottom.
using the iPad, it's up in the right-hand corner. If you touch the screen,
Upper
He's on his-
right-hand corner?
Yeah, but he's on
it
his
drops
phone.
down and then there's a screen, the video. I gotta put my glasses on to see it all, but if that helped.
Yeah, you're looking for
Okay,
something
so-
to get you muted or unmuted.
Can Bob hear you right now?
Yeah. We can put you
I
on
was gonna Say, let's put him on speakerphone while he tries to do that. That way we can start.
Yeah.
Tell him we're gonna put him on
Okay, I'm
speakerphone.
gonna put you on speaker.
Oh, yeah, I went to gallery. It's really
Okay.
good. I got everybody now.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, you go to gallery, you can see everybody.
Well, I only see 9.
Right, I don't see Dan.
Myself.
Hung up on him.
Oh, you did?
I hit speaker, but that didn't.
Yeah, it should.
Well, I
Well,
don't
no.
have Dan. I don't have Dan.
You don't
I'm
have
right here.
Dan?
Can you hear me, Jeff?
Dan's down in the
I can
corner.
hear you, but you didn't. I have gallery and I have everybody but you.
Oh,
Well,
I'm
he's
watching
really
you
there.
talk.
We can
Do I
see
not-
him. It's okay.
Yeah, I've seen you before, Dan.
You're not missing much, trust me.
Now I gave you my agenda.
Am I the only one that's
Agenda I just gave
on?
you?
There you are. Oh, wait. There's Gail. There's Jeff.
Okay, so, oops. So if you don't have your agendas, the first thing is that Jeff Hargens will call the budget committee meeting to order. And then you can approve the agenda. And then you need to elect the chairperson of the budget committee.
Hang on. Let me put you on hold.
Go ahead, Jeff.
And the chairperson can be any one of the 10 of us.
Anybody in the committee.
Uh-oh, what did I do? Nothing?
Anything.
Okay, I call the budget meeting for Tuesday, April 21st, 2020. We'll call it 6:05 to order. All are present. Gail?
Present?
Yes, hang on.
All are present.
Yes, everybody's present.
Okay. I do have a little bit of order of business before I'd like to add to the agenda that the board members need to elect an alternate budget officer since Jeff Busto is not in attendance. And I would like to nominate Gail since she was involved in the creation of the budget.
Is that the motion, Jeff?
That's a motion, yes.
Okay, I will second that.
So I have a motion and second for the board to consider Gail as an alternate budget officer. Aye.
All in-
Aye.
Yes, with prayers of thanks to Gail Griffith. Yes, thank you.
That part of it's approved. Now can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Thank you, Gail.
Yep.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a
move.
motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Hey,
Second.
I have a motion and 2 seconds to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Is that everyone? Yep.
It's close enough. Election of the budget committee chairperson. Do I have any nominations?
Kelly Piper.
Oh, no. Sarah Grigsby.
What is,
Oh, no, now,
what's the scope of work here?
It's basically just to run the budget committee, to go through all the items and to coordinate it. Basically taking my job.
For 2
Yes,
meetings?
Sarah, you'd be great at that.
Pardon me?
For
Sarah
two-
would be
probably
great.
2 or 3 meetings?
well, or one if you approve it
However long,
tonight.
Okay.
yeah,
So I'm.
however
motioning
long it
for
takes.
Sarah.
Sarah, are you willing to do it?
Has there been a second?
I'll
Well-
second it.
Second.
No, there has been a second.
I don't mind trying it. It feels awkward in this setting, but if y'all will kind of help me stay on track correctly, I'm happy to try that.
Sarah, we're all in it for you. Okay, we're all in it for you.
Okay, so is there any other nominations? Okay, so yeah, Sarah's all highlighted there. So
Are you there, Bob?
I guess Sarah, you're approved to. I guess we have a nomination and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sarah, you're to take over the meeting.
Bob?
Is the highlighted because my face looks like I've been dipped in gold?
No, I think it's just highlighted around because it's who's talking.
The sun is setting right in my face.
No,
So-
it's who speaks. That's why it highlights you.
Oh, I see. Got that highlight. Okay. Am I supposed to take over at this point?
Yes, you
Yeah,
are.
Sarah, so you would take over, and then basically you've been through the budget before, and so the easiest way, just so I can just give you a little guidance, is, you know, to kind of go through the items like we've done in the past, all the way down through the budget,
Okay. Could we
all the way
start
to
first?
approval.
Can we start first with just getting introductions? I don't know if I know everybody, but I'd like to know which ones in attendance are actually on the budget committee. Could I be reminded of that?
Start how they
Well,
appear.
I'm on the, sorry,
Kelly,
Rick, why doesn't Rick go first? Rick, go ahead.
I'm on the budget committee.
what's your last name, Rick?
Is Weaver?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'll go next. I'm Kelly Piper, and I am on the budget committee.
And is it Christina?
Chris, go ahead.
What do I say?
Just say who you are.
I'm on the budget committee.
Okay.
Nice to meet
Chris,
you.
she's on the budget committee.
Okay. And then
Christina, can you come closer to your mic? It was really hard to hear.
What did I do? Okay, I don't know where can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you better.
Better.
Yep.
Okay. And so those three people, Rick, Christina, and Kelly, plus those of us on the board, make up the budget committee?
No,
And-
and then there's also
Glenda.
Malcolm. Hey, Bob. Malcolm's there. You see
Oh,
Malcolm?
Malcolm, where are you, Malcolm? I lost you.
We got you on speaker now.
And then we have
Yeah,
Glenda,
so
but
we-
so far Glenda hasn't gotten us on we're not able to talk to Glenda yet.
Okay.
But Glenda Hagan is the other one. The only member is Rick, right there in the middle of my screen. So,
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Hi, Bob. I think that was Bob.
Yeah, we got Bob on speakerphone.
Yeah, there's Fred, there's Dan.
yeah, we can see you, Bob. We just can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Only just on the phone.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, oh, Glenda, now I see your face. Okay, hi, Glenda. All right, got it. So if I understand this correctly, we need to first do a high-level review of the budget message, which Gail has been kind enough and voted into reviewing for us to see if we have any questions for clarification on the budget message. And then after that, we will review and discuss the budget sort of line item by line item. And if I understand what Gail has done is that she's requested us ahead of time to look at the line items and send her any questions that we have. And so if there were questions, Gail, I'm assuming you'll sort of come in with any either feedback or what the questions were on that. Is that right?
Yep, I have all the questions and all the answers all ready to go.
Okay.
So unless somebody has different ones, then we can just use those. to
Okay.
continue. The only thing, if the only thing in the budget message that, well, not the only thing, but the main important thing, I think you guys all got that extra handout that we sent out with all of the minutes, excerpts regarding the well. And so since that is our major project that's coming up, so you should have all gotten, I think it was 16 pages of stuff about the well so that you would know. So
Okay.
everybody
Oh,
got that.
and I'm being rude here for just a second. First of all, David, thank you for sitting in on this. And then is it Toonie? Is that right, Purple Lady?
Yes.
Toonie, yeah.
Are you, do you mind saying what you're doing here? Audience, what?
I am just observing. I just wanted to listen in on your budget committee meeting. We oversee all the budgets in Multnomah County. We do a review on your budget after it's approved. and we give that to the commissioners, the review, and they certify your budget. But it's just kind of interesting to hear how the budget committee works together. So I can do that now that I don't have to drive into Corbett to do that. So it's easy to do it online. So I'm just here to observe.
Okay, beautiful. And of course, please feel free in the public comments, or if you feel like before that, to interject, okay?
Perfect.
All right, thank you. So I think Gail has already, God, you can't see it, but if the piece of paper that you might put in front of you is the budget message. Can I just get a head nod? Have you all had a chance to review that message?
I have.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody has. Okay. And I guess Gail is saying there's more than that, of course, but if we could, do you have any questions on the front end about anything in the budget message that you think can't be taken or should be taken care of before we start going line item to line item?
I don't.
I just have, it's Fred's here. Just one question regarding the opportunity for the public to ask questions, comment on it. With the crises that we're in now, how does the community, others that are not able to be on virtual messaging here, how do they, what process will they have if anybody wishes to comment?
So let me say quickly, and then I'll turn it over to Gail. Line item 6 on the agenda tonight is public comment. So there is a placeholder. Now, that said, Gail, do you want to talk about whatever preparation you did regarding public comment?
Yes, Fred, we had in the advertisement, it was stated that they could call the office if they were not able to call in or get online with us. We would have a space available for them back in the shop. We have an extra computer that they can use. We have set up for the meeting. Also, people were told to call the office if they wanted to make any comments that we could then record and bring to use if they weren't able to be here. So people have had ample opportunity. It's been posted on the website. It was published in the Outlook, and then we have it posted at both stores and here at the office and the post office.
Well done. I
Yay.
see that. I was pleased to see it. So has there been any of that type of comment?
Which I was, and I was
disappointing.
surprised.
Yeah, right. Okay. Thank you, Gail.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Okay, nice. And I will say that if there were, I believe the way, Gail, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the way we were going to do public comment given the Zoom is that we were going to ask for people to mute until the end of public comment if they were not on the budget committee, and then we would take those questions and maybe also through our chat option here. But Gail, correct me if I got that wrong.
Nope, that's correct.
Okay. All right. So good to go on that piece.
So Sarah?
Hi, Malcolm.
This is Malcolm. Yeah. Just as a general overview of this situation, the economic situation we're in today doesn't appear that is reflected in this budget message. I believe the budget message was created prior to the virus issue. I really question if this is an appropriate budget to be working on.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, I'm hearing you say, and I'm gonna a little bit paraphrase, so tell me if I'm wrong, that since likely the budget message and the budget recommendation itself was created either at the early stages of or before some of the COVID-19, that we should definitely be keeping that in the back or the forefront of our mind as we go through this. Does that capture what you're hoping for?
Basically, yes, and I think it almost should be a revised budget based on today's world.
Okay, so can I make a comment? When you get to the section past the budget message review, which there isn't a lot to review in it unless you have a question. As soon as we get to general fund resources, I will give you a proposal of two actually, yeah, 3 line items that have been changed or recommended to be changed. And then you can discuss that at that point. And those are related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So maybe that'll answer that question then.
Good to go, Malcolm?
Okay, was that lady from TSCC?
I couldn't hear you.
Very well.
Oh no, that was me. That was Gail. I don't know if Toonie, did you say anything?
No, I didn't say anything, but Gail, that's exactly right. You cannot change the proposed budget. You change it prior to approval, just like what you're doing. You make suggestions for the revision, but the proposed budget, regardless of when it was created, stays exactly intact.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So with permission to then set aside the budget message, at least formally, to move forward on the agenda, item number 4, review the budget, 5, review and discuss of the budget by section. And if we are ready to go, you could probably, I'm sure you can't see it, but there's 2 items you want to have in front of you. One is general, fiscal year 2021. The other being the way that that is reflected in the proposed budget. So we will shamelessly move through line item by line item on this. And Gail, help me here. We, of course, can take questions from people that are here in this meeting, but do you want to first address, say on the first line item or any of them, if you got any questions on it, how would you like to proceed through, given the fact that you've received questions?
Well, I can just run down this, the ones that have questions, obviously we can stop longer for, but other than that, unless there is a question, we could probably, they're pretty self-explanatory. If you look at the explanation, you probably already looked at that. So, and then I can answer the questions that came. I have them in order on a computer screen in front of me.
All right, well, why don't we do this? Let's take it in chunks, everybody. Let's take the, hope this is right. Let's take the general fund, page 1. Give me your phone. That starts with net working capital. And see if you run down it, if anybody has any questions that you did not already submit to Gail.
So should I just go then?
Yeah, go.
Okay. All right. So obviously net working capital is what we expect to have in the cash carryover at the end of the fiscal year. I just reran those numbers tonight, and there might be a difference of less than $1,000. I did not change that number. I don't think there's any reason to recommend a change in that number. Previously levied taxes do not change. The fire hydrant reimbursement, I did have a question. $2,500 is half of last year. And the question was, is that because we're installing 5 and should we be installing more? And we are installing 5 this year. And we do need to purchase 1 hydrant. The district manager and the fire chief, they are meeting to discuss the best locations for these. They haven't finished doing that yet. And regarding installing, we do plan to install more in the future, but 5 was how many they came up with for this coming fiscal year. So that's where that came from.
Thank you. Okay, let's stop there for just a second. Does anybody have any sort of changes recommended or questions to clarify that before we move on? Kelly?
Yes, this is Kelly. I have a question about the fire hydrant reimbursement. So last fiscal year was $5,000 in the budget. Does that mean we did 10 hydrants last year? Because this
We actually haven't done any hydrants yet this fiscal year. We were supposed to be doing 7 before the end of the year. I don't know that that's going to happen, and it's been kind of up in the air. Again, they haven't made their final decisions on where they're going to place those. And we did use 1 hydrant as one of the hydrants we have.
I got sound on my unit all of a sudden.
We did it as a replacement hydrant somewhere where a hydrant was damaged. So Jeff decided, he said that we should just go with 5 hydrants this coming year But that's why that number was bigger last year, was we were going to do more hydrants last year, but we did not do those yet.
So the 2,500 is expected to cover the fine. That's basically.
Because we already have the hydrants themselves, yes. Yes.
Okay.
But it's also a reimbursement, so it's only half of the cost. So the
Right.
fire district, why it's a revenue is the fire district is reimbursing us that amount.
And that's in the explanations, this other part.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good, Sarah.
You will, this is not a facilitator's comment. This is a budget commissioners or whatever you call it, comment. I'm gonna have questions throughout this, and this is a good example of when are these things going to happen? This is not a budget question, but over and over as I look through this, my question is, let's get a plan, right? So just, you'll hear that sort of echoing in some of my questions, like if we said we were gonna do 7 this year and we whatever aren't gonna do them, how do we know we're gonna do 5 next year? So that's just a comment on that. Ready to
That is
move?
included in the general fund resources. That's kind of where all the comments and extra information is. Is that
Say
what
it. Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
General fund resources document, it basically explains each line item. So are you asking for additional detail in the general fund resources for timelines?
I don't believe so. I believe I'm just pointing out as we go through this, after the budget is over, we have work to do on laying this budget out in real time. Thank you. Gail?
Okay, so next item, unless there's any question on interest or miscellaneous, service connections, we always kind of plan for one. We get more this year, we got more than that, but we don't know that for sure, so we always just plan for one. The next question I had, or excuse me, the next item are water sales and base rate. Okay, so I'm recommending that we reduce water sales to $405,000, so 3.5% decrease, and we reduce the base rate to just under 4% to $160,000. That is a reflection of the COVID-19. The state parks are closed. They produce quite a lot of revenue at this time of year. We don't know how long they will be closed. We also have a plan right now. We do not shut people's water for non-payment, so we are going to have quite a few people as exchange that we will be getting late payments, and it's a question as to how much, how long that will take for us to get those. So that is, after looking at the different amounts that could happen with state parks and could happen with customers, it's just prudent to reduce approximately that much on both of those. So like I said, water sales would be 405,000 and the base rate would be 160,000.
Say that again, 160, and then what was the one above it, is your thinking?
405,000.
405, okay.
There isn't any filter pond. Oh, what?
No, I just said good, as I was gonna ask about that.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Okay, then in the ASR feasibility study grant, I'm sorry, we had a question about the grant, the Union Pacific grant, which is for the toilet rebate program. And up to that, question of how we might promote it better, and also when will it sunset? It doesn't actually sunset. We have received the money for that. We can continue to have that grant until we run out of money. The board did set up a plan where instead of just one toilet, you could get a rebate on 2 toilets. The way that you get that is you fill out a rebate form and it's $100 per toilet. And then it goes to a credit on your water bill. We do not write people checks for that. We do send out that information in our consumer report that we send out that has our water quality report in it in June. We have also posted it on our website. we did have more water rebates, excuse me, toilet rebates this year than we had in other years once that was raised by the board to 2 toilets and $100 each. So it did go down a little more than it had in the past. So that's the answer to that one, unless there's more questions. The ASR feasibility study grant, the technical review committee that actually reviews those grants has put a recommendation in that we be awarded that grant. I did double check with the Oregon Water Resource Department, our representative with that, and she has said, that funding for feasibility study grants was previously authorized and is currently available to the department. So they do have those funds. The COVID-19 did not change that. Also, they do not anticipate a disruption to the funding cycle timeline, and the funding award decisions are on the agenda for the June Water Resource Commission meeting. Anyway, she said they're working to the best of their ability to meet those timelines. So what that means is normally, just so you know, that once the technical review committee makes a recommendation that your grant be awarded, it's like it's like really in the high 90s that you will get the award. So we have like a 99% chance that we are getting that feasibility grant. And so that will happen in June is when they will do that. And then we could start getting funds probably in July for that. That was the questions I had too in there. Anyway, so that one though, because of the way the grant was written and such, that dollar amount, I am recommending that be changed to $284,300 because that's the actual dollar amount that we would be awarded.
284K?
$284,300.
And that is from documentation you've received from the.
That's from, yes. That is the correct amount for what we requested. There was some discrepancies, but yes.
Okay,
Good work,
Gail.
Gail.
There is zero chance that then they won't cancel the grants this year. That's what I was worried about.
I guess I wouldn't say that there's zero chance, Bob. It's just that I did check. That is as of this, well, about 10 o'clock this morning, I rechecked with her, and that is the quote what I just read to you is a quote directly from them saying
Okay.
that money's already been set aside. So,
Good, okay.
okay. That's the best we can do at this point.
Yeah.
The 50% match, so does that mean we need a line item on the expenditures for?
Yeah, it's actually included in the, we can list it as a separate line item if you would like, but it is listed in the groundwater line item. It's included in
Kelly,
capital outlay.
clarify your question and the answer, please.
And the fund line items, it states that the ASR test well feasibility that matching funds grant. That means that the district has to come up with equal amount of money. If they're going to give us, you know, 284,000, then the district will come up with 284,000.
Yeah.
Looking for the line item to offset this, but Gail said it's not itemized specifically like that. It's included there, Gail?
It's in capital outlay groundwater.
Oh, I see it. I would like to see it as a separate line item, just so.
Okay, and the reason we didn't separate it out, and I can run you a report that shows how it's separated out, because what has happened is we had the groundwater line item already in our budget, and some of our engineering fees and some other fees related to what we've done so far for the test well, you know, like going out to bid and things, some of those costs are actually eligible for part of our money reimbursement from the state for that amount. So those are already in the groundwater line item. And to take them out, it's going to mix those, that you're not going to have an accurate reading of where it's at, because it's going to show up in groundwater, then you'd have something separate in the ASR. It's not good if you put a separate line item. That's the only reason that it wasn't done like that.
So taking that right now, hold that thought, and we will review it again when we come to that line item, just to make sure that you're okay with it. All right?
Okay.
Okay, so Gail, going on to 171 on line item 19.
Gail, when does the district receive that money? That
I'm sorry.
When does it actually show up in the district funds?
We have to turn in receipts, Malcolm. As we have receipts, we turn those in, invoices, copies of invoices, and then we get reimbursed for that money. So once they go through, it's in June, they'll do their award, and then we have to go through all the paperwork. And I think Chris Augustine's actually entered now, and I don't believe we'll probably won't see any of the money till sometimes late in July or something like that. I think is when all the paperwork will get done.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Gail, this next one on property taxes,
Yep.
when does that money traditionally come in? Isn't that like October?
Well, the majority of it comes in October, but we get money just like people pay their bills in thirds. The large amount of it comes in October. The rest of it comes in the end of February, and then we get some in May and some in June.
Right. My concern here is with the states deferring property taxes, you know, they're giving them deferrals. What if a lot of people don't pay their property tax? That money could seriously be reduced. And that's my concern. And we're going to need that if we go ahead with the full project to pay the bills in November, December, and January, or we might be close to no money is what I'm afraid of.
Okay. Well, when I did the estimates of what our tax receipts would be, what we would actually receive, I did do a lower estimate than what they say we would receive. I did also check with Craig, who works with Tooney at tax supervising. I checked with him, and he said historically, with like recessions and things that have happened, there has not really been a decrease in the amount that we have collected. So I'm going like that. We're not in the Measure 5 compression. We don't really have any compression in our area.
Right.
So we're not that way. So we're probably, I mean, obviously nothing's 100%.
Right.
It's,
yeah, with the banks, you know, giving people 2-month waivers, the money may not quite be what we expect is what I'm concerned. And if we have to count on that, it could get tight at January is what I'm worried about.
mm-hmm. Well,
assuming the well and everything.
Right. And normal, I mean, if you look at our budget, 171,000 of our expenditures, we're not like a fire district or a school district or one of those other districts that really counts on their property taxes to fund their activities. We count, obviously, the majority of our money that comes in is through water sales and the base rate, all of those items. That's, 171,000 is not the majority of our funding.
And what I'm hearing from Malcolm, though, Malcolm, let me tell you, tell me if I got it right. It may be a cash flow issue that you want to just, by the way, when the money comes in and when the money needs to flow out, do we need to be careful about that? And I think I'm hearing Gail say it's not so substantial that we need to worry extremely, right? Is that fair to say, Gail?
Well, the property taxes, no matter what, the property taxes are going to be there, and they're going to have to be paid. I mean, it's not like your property taxes are going to go away. Maybe they will take them later. I'm not sure, and I don't know if Bob, partly, were you talking about with the banks and with the mortgage?
Right, with the delay. Yeah, with the delay, and so they're not going to have the full property tax there. Maybe. I'm just saying maybe.
Yeah, right. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
This could be like 120,000 instead of, if people don't pay their property tax. I'm just worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's going to be there. It's just the timing of it.
Right. But I see that as our December, January, February funding money to open the doors. Just if we're pretty low on cash from say doing the test well as an example. I'm just worried that we have enough cash flow to keep the doors open without having to borrow.
And Fred Sanchez, what did you want to say?
Oh, okay. How did you know? You read my mind. I think maybe what he's referring to, the perfect storm should that hit where, you know, the people are not paying their taxes because it's not, they don't have to. People don't have to pay their utility bills. I mean, it's on the news every day that, you know, so, you know, it's unlikely, and I don't want to, you know, feel that these bad things could happen, but these are unprecedented times that we're going through. So I think everything is good to have on the table, and certainly what position does the Corbett Water District have if these terrible things should occur where people do not pay for an extended amount of time. We don't know how long the county is going to allow people not to pay their taxes and or lenders not to collect. So, but you know, I think we're looking at this. Maybe we need to have an optimistic view of it, but also reality of what might happen. So this is a good discussion. So I'm glad we're.
Is anybody recommending that this proposed budget for 171 be lowered in a sort of a what if scenario? I'm seeing Rick say no. Okay.
They take the chances and you watch what goes on. And if you need to adjust, I mean, that's what you have to do because it's all unknown, like it's being said. I think it's pretty well laid out what it's going to cost to do. So if you are going to do the first part of it and do your well and stuff, I don't know how you do parts of it. I mean, a well starts, they drill. You know, so I just meant it's all things to be considered with what they're saying. But from my perspective, you just move forward with what you think is the best plan and have your contingency, because everything falls apart. No one's paying taxes. It's not just going to be the district with problems. You know?
Can I make one
Well,
comment?
I pay my taxes all the time.
One comment to make for Bob and Malcolm and everybody worrying about it also. Remember that when you approve the budget as the budget committee, you are approving what was, you know, what you changes you want to make to a recommended budget. And the board of directors in June will actually hold the hearing, the public hearing to adopt the budget. Now, the board of directors at that time, they have all the free will they want to lower numbers. You can reduce revenue and reduce expenditures to any amount that they want to reduce them. They cannot raise anything too much, because then if you do, you have to, you can, but you have to go into a supplemental budget process. So by leaving that there, it does not mean that it is set in stone. If something happens between now and June and all of a sudden things turn even worse and we realize that, then the board can say, you know what, stop, no, lower everything. We're not doing any of that.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. I'm seeing some head nods. So may we move forward or more on this?
No, I don't want to change it. I just wanted to make aware that we could have a cash flow problem in Christmas, January, February. I'm sure before June we will get that money, but I'm just timing. So I don't want to change it. I just wanted to be aware that there could be a problem.
Great. All right, turn the page. We're moving on to personnel services.
Since Gail amended those couple of figures, can I confirm the total for the resources is 1 million?
Oh, I'm sorry. You want a new total?
That would be good.
Yep. So it's $1,843,853.
Say it one more time.
$1,843,853.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Gail.
That's not much. That's not very much lower than the other one. How did it lower that much? Or
that's because it's
the
like
feasibility.
Because of the feasibility grant, it's like $2,200 difference.
Oh, okay.
Feasibility went up to 284.
Right.
Okay.
All righty then, personnel services.
By 15,000.
Hey, and Glenda, are you hearing us okay? Will you nod your head or look this way?
I can hear you.
We can hear her. Great. Lovely. All right.
I don't agree with that number you gave. You reduced water sales by 15,000.
I'm sorry. Well, but Malcolm, we increased the ASR feasibility study grant. That number needed to be changed to $284,300.
Okay.
That's why.
Enough to take care of that. Okay.
You're kind of garbled, so I can't hear you too well.
We got it.
Yeah, the sound is not nearly as good as.
So Gail, if you would you start then at line 1 on personnel services, and anybody, if you have a question along the way, stop her to add your question.
So we don't actually divide out when we do the explanations. Personnel services, we just do all of the wages in one sum. And if there's any questions about that, I did get one question about line 4, utility worker AP. And the question was, is this underway and when? Because I know it was in there, in the budget message, there was a statement that we would be possibly hiring another utility worker. So I did write out an answer. The Board of Commissioners last month appointed 2 board members as liaisons to work with the district manager to make a plan for the future related to personnel. It could include the addition of an additional utility worker and/or a trend to move toward more outside contractor work. The liaisons and the district manager have not met at this point. This line item is included by the budget officer to cover the possibility the position will be filled after the meetings between the board members and the manager. So Jeff wanted to just include that. He was unsure of that, but he wanted to go ahead and put that in there. And then once that's discussed, and I am assuming that they will start meeting before the end of the fiscal year. So it could very well be worked out before the budget hearing in June when they adopt the budget. So that's where that line and that question came up about specifically hiring another person. The other question I had was health insurance doesn't pencil out. I'm not quite sure about that. There's $325 water district contribution per month for the employees who work 30 hours or more per week. If we hire another person in the utility AP position, we will have 5 employees eligible to receive the contribution. Per month cost for all employees would be $1,626, and per year it would be $19,500, and that's what we have listed in there. So I'm not sure if there's any more question about that.
So let's slow that down. Did somebody say something?
I think it's Malcolm.
My question was based on 6 because what I got out of the narrative was that there was going to be 6 employees.
Well,
it didn't pencil out.
Yeah, we have 6 people. What do we have back there right now? 4. We have 3, 4. So there's 4 with me, 5 with you. Okay. So we have 1 employee, like I said, is for employees who work 30 hours or more, Malcolm. We have 1 employee that only works 16 hours a week. So that employee is not eligible for health insurance.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Then I had a question on-call pay. When did our calendar change to 53 weeks? When you count the weeks out and related to at the end of the month when we do the payroll, it just happens to turn out that by doing the payroll at the end of the month, you get those half weeks and such. So you end up that it's 53 next year, depending on how the payroll works with those weeks. It may be 51 instead of 53. It might be 51 or it might be 52. Anyway, that's how it works out. That's why it's 53 listed there.
So Gail, I have
the next. Yep.
So if the board decided to instead of hiring another employee to have outside services do the work, can this money be changed in the budget later to pay for that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are you saying, say more about that, Jeff? Are you saying as we move through the year, if we end up not hiring and we use more outside?
Yeah, what I'm thinking is sometimes because of PERS and everything else, it's more cost effective for the district to go to outside contract services versus hiring another employee, and to keep our employee ratio down, to keep it lower, and can that money be transferred to cover that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and the answer was yes. So those of you that are on the budget committee that are not commissioners, you may know more than I do. So excuse me if I'm telling you something you already know. But this is another one of those issues of sort of ongoing operations versus sort of straight up, yes, let's hire a new person. We've been in a conversation since I've been commissioner anyway, and in budget when I was on the budget committee, that it's hard to hire people, hard to pay them enough to be competitive. Over and above that, we have sort of ongoing some personnel issues that are causing around training or whatever. I'd be making it up if I got too detailed. So that this is kind of an ongoing question that I believe we're asking ourselves around what does personnel look like at Corbett Water District? You know, can we hire up to do 100% ourselves, or are we looking at limited operations and then hiring out for others? So I think what you're hearing in Jeff's question, right, Jeff, I mean, is sort of like, what's the best way to go about this? And so you're seeing once again that we are waving the flag and we're saying, we're gonna hire a utility worker AP, right? And we still have the same operational questions about, is that the best way to go? And even if it is, can we find a person who is skilled at whatever rate we can pay? So I just want to make sure you guys as budget can hear that and know that that's, I think, what's playing around in the board members' minds. Jeff, is that inaccurate?
Sarah, you did a fantastic job of answering. Yes. It was perfect. No,
yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so is it okay to keep going then?
So carrying on? Yeah.
Okay, all right. So
I just didn't want funds set aside where we couldn't move them. That's
no. When you do the appropriations now, Jeff, it's all appropriated as the whole water district. It's not appropriated as just one section of the budget. It's all appropriated. It's just the general fund utilities. So you're good.
okay.
In June, you'll have a better idea, and you can change it then too at the
Perfect.
hearing.
Thoughts? Do you have thoughts, Juno? Or
Pardon?
Did you say you were referring to Juno or to?
No. I said in June, you could make the changes in June.
Got it. All right.
Okay. So let's see. So we talked about on-call. That was a question. Line 10, I had a question on overtime. Is this decrease based on an assumption of the new position being filled? No, not necessarily. There's a trend of using less overtime at the water district. People do not earn overtime pay until they have worked 40 hours in a week. This fiscal year, we have used less than $2,500 in overtime. The reduction in this line seemed prudent at this time to go ahead and reduce it down. Again, we aren't using that much in overtime. The trend looks like we will not be using that much overtime.
Okay.
That's why that one was changed. I didn't have any questions about anything until we got to PERS unfunded liability. Number 12, we had the question, shouldn't we be increasing this if we are using this line item to save in case of the debt being called in? Actually, the budget committee, which a lot of you were there, in 2018, the line was added as a placeholder. And the committee did not discuss increasing this line item in the past. was just a reminder line item and to go ahead and hold $100,000 there. Now, it is perfectly within the committee's right to discuss and to increase the amount in that line item, and then you would need to make adjustments in other parts of the budget if you would like to do that. But they definitely, you could do that if somebody, you know, if you want to increase that, you could do that at this time. So that's, and I don't know if anybody wants to discuss.
Any other thoughts on that?
I would say to leave it and leave it alone and not increase it. We haven't used it, but I think it is a good placeholder. The last time we did need to use it, I think we had to put a surcharge on, and we used like $90,000 and put a surcharge on the bills to collect that back. But I would keep it probably where it's at for the amount of employees we have.
And what is our liability, 400 and something?
In the high threes.
What?
It's in the high threes, yes. And I don't have the exact number in front of me. It's in the audit. It's 300 and some thousand.
Again,
Yeah.
so for the budget committee members who may not know, so the liability is close to 400,000. And the question is, what's the risk? You know, how much risk? And the feeling has been maybe not a lot of risk, but let's be careful, at least to the tune of 100,000. So if it was extremely conservative, would we increase it? Or is this appropriate given whatever level of risk there may be? So far 100,000 has felt appropriate.
Okay, so since we reduced the revenue by $2,200, just looking at things, looking through the budget and such, the recommendation that I would make is that we reduce the temporary help from $8,000 to $5,800. 5,800, that's $2,200. That takes care of that $2,200 less in revenue. We do not have any, we have not used any temporary help this year. I don't believe there's any plan to bring anybody on at this point as temporary help. Especially, well, at least for sure not this fiscal year. There hasn't been any discussion about this coming summer or anything. So I think that would be okay. Also, since we haven't hired a new person up above, there should be funds that if we did hire temporary help, we should be all right in that line item anyway. So, but $5,800. So
We're going back
there's no
to
other.
even talking about temporary help.
I'm sorry, what, Malcolm? I couldn't hear you.
Back of the narrative talks about temporary help for maintenance around the reservoirs, cutting the grass and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, last year, Malcolm, actually, the two utility workers and the office staff cleaned around the reservoirs, and we did a just fine job of it. So I think we'll do okay without having, you know, if we can catch up on it. We have one person who has bad allergies, but we will continue to work on that. So I think that part will be okay.
Yeah, y'all should get Gail to show you pictures of what they did.
The temporary help I'm saying indicates that it's groundskeeping and it's not working on the infrastructure. It's not repairing leaks or
No, you're
that kind of work or helping with some other
right.
Construction type project.
That's not temporary help. Malcolm, is like if we hire someone temporarily. I believe the help you're talking about is when we have contractors come in at this point, and that is not in there. We don't pay personnel. We don't pay, you know, Medicare or Social Security or any payroll taxes on those people. So those people are actually just from a contractor. They're paying all that. So they're listed in the actual areas where they work. So if they did capital outlay meters and did our meter replacement, they would be listed in that line item. They would not be listed in temporary help.
Well, I understand the difference.
Oh, okay.
This is not contractors. I realize that. It's just a question of what work they do and how they're working with the district. And I mentioned that they are doing if you hired them, they would be doing what you office folks have done to clean up around the reservoirs.
So Malcolm, this is Sarah. Do you have a concern over the fact that she's proposing to reduce it to 5,800 since basically it wasn't used this year? Or
No, why not reduce it more?
why not reduce it more? Okay. All right. So, but you're okay at least with the 5,800. Am I hearing that correctly?
I can live with it. I guess,
Okay.
yeah, so you got it in case, is what you're saying.
Okay, great. Thank you.
But
So,
as an overall thought, it sure would be nice if we had a kind of an up-to-date of where we're at. What have we spent in these categories? How are we going? And maybe the board people have, the rest of the budget committee not have that information. Normally that would be handed out if we were face to face.
but Malcolm, it's kind of hard to hear you, so I'm going to take it unless you sort of push back on this statement. I'm going to take it that the proposal stays at 5,800 and we can work out sort of details around that as we move forward in the year.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I didn't have any other questions in that came in on that page, and the total would change to $507,725.
Any questions from the committee before we move forward?
Could I have that amount again, please?
Sure. $507,725.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I believe we are now turning to materials and services. And again, Gail, if you don't mind, if you'll just take us down through the items, and if she skips over something you have a question about, please just give a holler.
I didn't get any questions until line 8. So does anybody have anything any concerns they have for 1 through 7?
Well, line 2, it seems to fluctuate quite a
So are we
bit.
still here?
Is that based on
It looks like it's
plans
frozen.
for projects?
Yeah, it's right. Line 2, building and grounds maintenance is the items that are done around the office, basically, the outside, and in the building. And I don't know if you've noticed when you drove by, like we painted a year and a half ago. And then we also did some other landscaping. And so that was included in the one budget, the 1 year for when we had $4,000 there. But we actually, Linda and I did the painting ourselves. So it didn't cost the district a lot. And then my husband came and helped. So it was like pretty much almost not that much. And this year, we only have a little bit of maintenance that we plan on do, like put a new curb in, and we have some of the stuff already to do some work at the office that we'll be doing outside. So, and maybe we'll get rid of the mold that's been rototilling. But other than that,
Yeah.
that's why it's changed.
That
That's
will
why
never
it
happen,
changes.
but-
Yeah, so that's why that one changes.
So Gail, under line item 6, easements, is that item is not going to be used for the well at all?
No.
Okay.
That easement's
That's a different easements?
Yeah, it's a different kind of easement. Yeah, that's not the same thing.
Okay.
So I did have a
if
question.
anyone can hear me,
Yep, we can.
but I don't have anybody moving at all
Who is that?
It's Rick.
or sound.
Oh,
Yeah, Rick's frozen.
Rick, did you freeze?
It must be his internet connection.
Yeah, you are frozen. Can't hear us.
The
Maybe
kids
you
are
can-
playing Fortnite or something.
Maybe he can try to come back in.
Can he hear us?
Doesn't sound like it.
If he can, he should disconnect and try coming back in.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Can
you hear us, Rick? Can you disconnect and then come back?
Or Gail?
Linda's gonna go in. Yeah, Linda's gonna go in the other room and call him.
Uninvite him?
Yeah, well, sometimes if we remove somebody, we can't let them back in. So he needs to leave himself because of the rules with Zoom.
He's
Yeah.
calling my phone right now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. I think if I answer it though, it's gonna
Mess yours up?
Yes.
yeah, it'll.
Okay. Linda just went into the other room. She's gonna get his number and she'll call him from there. So.
So
Okay.
Don't answer it, Dan, is that right?
Yeah, don't answer it, Dan. Okay, so I did get a question. Where am I? Line 8.
Yeah, there I am.
Engineering, is this David? And David actually happens to be here there. Hydra engineering, yes, that is David's line item. So that's the line item for the engineer that we use for assistance. with
Hello, this is Rick.
Sports and other activities.
Is
y'all,
everyone frozen?
Gail,
I mean,
hold on
everyone's
just a
frozen on my screen, so I figured I'd call.
Oh, I can hear Rick
Want me to
now.
recall?
I can hear him.
I can hear
We
him.
can hear him right now.
Yeah, Rick, if you can come back in, Gail will get you connected back up if you can hear us.
There he goes. Okay, he's going to try to call back in, so we're good. So anyway, that is David from Hydra Engineering. He's our regular engineer that we use monthly for reports and other activities.
You look pretty relaxed, David.
I had
He's muted.
yeah, he muted himself. So we don't have any other, I didn't have any other questions about anything until I got down to membership fees. And we had the question, if you look, there was a list of who we have membership fees with. The question was, is the $2,000 the cost of the Oregon Health Authority membership? And because we did double the amount for membership fees, and yes, it is $2,000 for the Oregon Health Authority. They changed how they're doing their fees. There's other things like our sanitary survey that we don't pay for now, that they've just done one fee that we're going to be paying. So that's how that got changed.
So hold on one second. Rick, we are on materials and services, and we're on line item 18. And we're just clarified why it went from 2 to 4,000. Do you want to hear that? Say that again real quick, Gail.
The Oregon
Does it have to do with the sanitary survey?
Right, we're not getting charged for the sanitary survey now. The Oregon Health Authority is having one fee that they just set for us. It's $2,000. So, and it's like a membership fee.
No, and they don't come every year, thank heavens.
No, they don't. I didn't have any other questions actually that came in that whole page. So if there isn't any questions, or if you do have questions, just go ahead and ask those rather than go down. Everything was explained in the explanation.
I have a question on, maybe I'm getting confused with myself, but line item 19, meter repairs. I just made a note that we spent more than that in meter repairs this year. So what, maybe I'm wrong because it only says 500. So maybe it's showing up in a different line item.
We shouldn't have to replace them. We put almost all of them in new.
Okay, I probably just forget what I just said. It's probably.
Okay, so
because we spent nearly $400,000 to replace all the meters in the district.
Yeah.
Well, there shouldn't be any repairs. They're all new.
Okay.
we did, Sarah, we did have some meter repair costs, but that was things like, we have
the meters. You have
and
more than just meters in the in meter repair.
I'm
You
sorry,
have
what?
Your boxes, the curb stop, the meter stop, the tailpiece,
Right.
all that other stuff's in the meters.
Right, yeah, and that's what I was just gonna say, we had some other things that
Different line
are in
item.
there,
Okay.
so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry. Thank you.
That's fine.
So I have a question. I have a question on line item 8, engineering.
Yep.
Gail, how much have we spent this year? It looks like we've been spending 6,000, and this year we've had budgeted 10. How much do you anticipate us being at this year?
Wait a minute. I should be able to tell you that.
Well, we've spent through the end of, I have another bill, but as of March 17th, when I paid David for, would have been February, We have spent a total of $7,335 this fiscal year so far.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, that's where we're at in that line item.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so were there any other questions on that page then?
Fred's smiling.
I know, I see
Good.
him.
No, phenomenal job.
Good.
Right. Steve's smiling. All right, so that's the same total, 246, right? And
Yep, that one did not change, correct.
All right, so moving right along.
These actually go smoother than meeting in person. Oh, hey. Maybe we should do the budget this way all the time.
Well, we could.
So we're on to capital outlay.
Capital outlay, just a second, I gotta switch my screens here. Capital outlay, line number 1, I had a question on buildings. The question was, when will this be done and by whom? The work that's for this item is to move the generator that's in the shop to the outside. It's our backup generator when we lose electricity. We have to start the generator. There's a diesel generator that's in the shop and it smells like diesel everywhere, and it's not actually the safe installation for it. I can just say that the work will be done by an electrical contractor, and it has been delayed due to a busy schedule of the electrician. And I am personally going to say we look forward to having this completed during the summer of 2020, because that's what I'm going to push for, that we get it done this summer. Because if we have a winter where we have no electricity, then there will be no office staff, because we're not going to stay.
I think we need to get that work done.
I think we do too. So I'm hoping somewhere this summer, July, August, something like that, we can get.
And I think you and I had those conversations today of geting some things done. So
yes,
we will work on that.
And actually, this is
Where
where
are we on, Sarah?
I'm sorry, Malcolm, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, anyway, I've lost track. I couldn't hear you guys a little bit, and I lost track.
Oh, okay. We're on page 4, capital outlay, Malcolm.
Oh. Well, okay, I guess.
Unless, did you?
On page 3, line 17, is that going to be contract work or district work?
That line is big enough to cover the mains repair and maintenance. That's for when we hire contractors to do mains repair and maintenance.
We're still talking about line 1, is that right?
No, Malcolm had lost his ability to hear us at that point, and he wanted to know on page 3, number 17, mains repair and maintenance, if that was for us to do mains repair and maintenance in the office, not in the office, in the district, or if a contractor, and that would be a contractor. Although it could be some things that we would be buying for mains repair and maintenance that we might be doing ourselves too, Malcolm. It could be supplies and labor both. So does that answer that question?
I was trying to follow the narrative to go along with and going back and forth here, trying to keep up. Sorry.
Okay.
Move back to page 4 then.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, Jeff, on what you said, and Dan also, you two being the people that are going to work with Jeff Busto on sort of what the plan is in a number of manners. I just want to make sort of a broad comment that those questions, that work that you're going to be doing with him comes up for me big time here, related to who's going to do the work and when will that work get done. So I just want to make that a broad comment, because whenever I'm seeing these numbers in here and the budget message and the explanation under it, I'm getting into my planning mode on going, which quarter is it going to happen in, and what's it going to look like? And if we're not doing it this year, how much are we saving for the future on it, right? When will it happen? So that's my broad comment on this entire section. Anything else on line item 1?
Sarah,
Yep, what?
on the reservoir repairs on that page 3, says that that was all done. The cathodic protection, everything was completed. And yet it's the same dollar value as it was last year.
Malcolm, what page and what line item?
22.
Page 3, line 22, Sarah. Materials and services.
Reservoir repair, 10,000. What was your question, Malcolm?
Well, I'm reading the narrative that says the work was all completed, which seems conflicting with having the same budget numbers.
Okay, it says, okay, Malcolm, actually the cathodic protection was completed in the fiscal year. However, that's not all the reservoir repairs we have. We can have all sorts of things that happen at reservoirs, and then we need to do repairs. So we have to have the money there in order, if we have something happen, like the generators that are there that can get, not work. Well, David could probably help me. Some of the, just getting into the reservoir, the little ladders, the tops can get broken, all sorts of things. The valves there can get broken. Yeah. So that's also, we have to have money there to cover that. We wouldn't want to reduce it so much that we couldn't make repairs on our reservoirs.
Okay, I'm just reading the narrative as Sarah suggested to go along with this.
Right.
Where I got my question from.
Yep, Malcolm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So Sarah and Gail, before we start into materials and services,
no,
we are tardy for the board meeting.
Yep.
And how does that work, Gail? Can we continue this, or do we need to move to a board meeting and continue this another session?
You can end this meeting, or you can continue it. You can start a board meeting late. You cannot start a board meeting early.
Okay, so
if you want to continue you want to go till 7:30?
I guess I would like to continue. I will leave that up to Sarah, but I would like to continue to try to get through the items once, if you think we can do it in the next 20 minutes or something like that.
Here's my proposal. Thank you very much, Jeff. We actually are, I believe, finished with materials and services, and we're moving on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I turned back the page.
No, you're good, because Malcolm had a couple of questions, so I think we're good. But I think we have capital outlay to finish with a little debt service, and I'd like to stick with it. If you guys are good for another, could we put a 20-minute time limit on it and sort of do a check-in at that point, call it if we're not finished with the first review? Nod your head if you're okay with that.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Perfect.
Rick, is that okay with you?
I kind of missed it. I'm all for going ahead with it all, if that was the
Okay,
question.
beautiful. All right.
Thank you. Perfect.
All right. Let's move ahead, and we are on page 4, and we have finished line number 1, which is the buildings. The work is to be done hopefully this summer. And we're on to Gail going through the other line items.
The next one I had a question on was number 2, filter pond 1B. Somebody asked the question, a new line item, so please explain why, who will do the work, and when. And actually, this is not a new line item. This is an old line item. It has to remain in the budget until the line zeroes out. So if you look at your history column, there was money expended on this in 2017-18. It shows $1,200. Next year, when that column goes off the page, then that line item will go away. There is no work that's a project that there's no plans for in the future. It was removed from the budget. So that's where that went. So fire hydrants is the next one. And there was a question is why is $5,000 for hydrants already in stock from fire purchases? That answer would be that we did use one hydrant, so we do have to get a hydrant, but we also have installation costs. And we may not be replacing or putting those hydrants in just completely by ourselves. We may have contractors assist in that. So when we do that, there will be the costs that have to be listed there. And again, in the revenue, we had the fire hydrant reimbursement. So 2,500 of that is expected to be reimbursed by the fire department. And again, the district manager and the fire chief have not actually come to a conclusion as to where those hydrants are going to be placed in the district. So we're waiting on that. So is there any other questions about that one? No? Okay.
Sarah needs to introduce.
Now, Kelly, did you want to talk about groundwater? That's the next line item that would come
No,
up.
but I need to know Sarah's
Well,
new member's name.
This is Junior.
oh.
This is Junior.
Thank you.
Anyway, so did you have a question about the groundwater one? or
No,
anything?
I am clear with the fact that this number, which is extremely larger than last year, is it because it includes the ASR grant money.
Okay.
So, and I did not check that in the description. Yep. I'm good.
Okay, and just
But Gail, that number will go up to 284 or whatever, right?
yeah, we won't change the total amount. I mean, that we're in the, we're not going to change the 729,500 because that dollar amount included some other items, but we should still be fine. It's like $100,000 extra in there for when we start the project. Well, if we do good with our feasibility study, but we don't know that yet. Just so everybody knows, Gordon Falks just entered the meeting. And Gordon, we're still actually in the budget committee meeting right now. So can you hear me? Hello, Gordon. Oh, we don't have any, we can't hear you, unfortunately.
Right, but we can see that he did. And by the way, we did not welcome Chris Augustine, who's been in there for about 20 minutes. So.
Well, I mentioned him, but nobody.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay. All right, Malcolm, we're trying to get through the budget, the first round of budget meeting in about the next 15 minutes. So hang on to your hat, and Gail is taking us through the capital outlay, and we are down to line 6 in capital outlay right now.
And I didn't have any questions until we got to line 9. So if nobody has any questions, we'll just move on till we get to, oops, where did I skip one? Oh, I'm sorry. I did have a question. Line 5, meters in capital outlay. We had a question. It was, have the 12 meters been replaced to complete the program? And the answer to that is we have 1 residential 3/4 inch meter left to replace and 4 other larger meters to replace. The other question is, what was the effect on revenue from water sales? Okay, so the answer to that is, and I didn't use a full year, but from March of 2018 to January of 2019, that is old meters. So that's when we had the old meter. We had a usage of 135,010 units of water during that time period, with a revenue of $398,279. From March of 2019 through January of 2020, with the new meters, we had usage of 138,717 units of water and revenue of $409,215. So there is not, it went from 398,279 to 409,215. So that is not a huge increase. And we can check that again as we go through this coming year. We'll have more records as to, to show how we did as far as if we are actually getting more revenue with the new meters or not, but that's where that is. So, okay. The next question I had was on line 7. I had no questions on the vehicles.
398. I didn't catch the next number. It was garbled.
Oh, I'm sorry, Malcolm, you couldn't hear me?
No, it was garbled. I didn't get those. I heard,
okay.
I heard 398. Oh.
So for the prior year, when we still had the old meters, we had usage of 135,010 units of water. And with the new meters at the same time frame, we had a usage of 138,717 units. So it's not a huge difference. And again, the revenue would go in line the same way, that we would have approximately just, you know, related that much extra money. Is that acceptable for you for that much information, or should I repeat?
Okay, I'm going to suggest we keep moving.
Okay.
You are, I believe we're moving on to at 6 or on from there.
Yep. I didn't have any questions on 6. On 7, on North Fork, it says when and by whom. The answer was there's supposed to be a large rock for Gordon Creek. Oh, excuse me, that was placed in fiscal year 2018. The placement of the rock. Okay, so we're supposed to have a rock for North Fork because South Fork is different. And it's in the summer. And the last I heard, we were going to do that, although with a contractor possibly. And it would have to be in the summer because of the restrictions. So the next one I had a question on was 9 reservoirs. Question. 9 reservoirs, savings for when and what total are we shooting for? So the answer for that is it's Reservoir 3, Mershon Reservoir. It needs to be relined and structural improvements completed in the next 2 years. So it's within 2 years, and the total cost estimated at $40,000. So that's, we put money in there for that, and the total cost for that is $20,000. I mean, is $40,000. And again, if another reservoir, something happened and it had major structural problems where we had to do a capital outlay project, that money would end up being used there, even if we had it, we were thinking of Reservoir 3, if we had something we had to do.
So this was my question. That question was my question. If I'm hearing you, Gail, the Reservoir 3 on Mershon, the total project cost is $40,000. If this $25,000 is, and it needs to be done within 2 years. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, the total cost estimated is at $40,000. But the money we have there, the reservoirs, the $25,000. I was just wanting to clarify that if something happened with any of our reservoirs that required a major capital outlay improvement at one of those other reservoirs, the money would end up being used that way. But within the next 2 to 3 years, we are going to be able to have the $40,000 to the Mershon Reservoir. That's the plan.
Okay, great. This for me, just broadly speaking, and this is a really good example, we can use our budget line items as kind of a savings for future need. And if we need $40,000 for this in the next 2 to 3 years, and I hear Gail say, and we might even pull it off in an emergency to use for something else. I guess all I'm wondering is whether or not raising it $5,000 from the $20,000 last year to $25,000 this year is adequate. I wouldn't argue it strongly, but for me, this is a great example of plug in $30,000 this year. And next year, if we don't use it, plug in 40, and then we'd have our money to do it. I just want you tracking what I'm saying, sort of on the savings account feature. So that's all. Just want to say.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, and I would say that part of the reason that when Jeff was talking about this earlier, he and I had the discussions way back in February. We're trying to be prudent because we had to look at the test well and the well project as basically the priority at this time. And when you look at the question about funding for the well, you know, we didn't know about the grant. We don't know if we'd raise rates. We don't know now with the pandemic. Will you raise rates? That's up to the board to decide. Will we even have a good well? We don't know. So we decided that the best thing would be to put more money towards that line item and make sure that's got money in it to fund it so we can proceed. And if something happens at a reservoir and then the well doesn't work, we can, even during a year, you can still use money from that well line item. You can use it for a reservoir if you needed to. So
is Reservoir 3, did they dive it to scan the inside of it? Or has that been done?
Yeah, I think they did the tests on it. That's how he knows that it needs to have the stuff done to it.
Okay, so it's from that information.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I do understand and appreciate the trade-offs between the test well and the new well and sort of, you know, the give and take there. Just point made anyway.
So then the next question I had was about South Fork. New line item, who, when, and how much. The line item was there, but it hasn't been used. We just didn't remove it. The South Fork intake has been inoperable, and there's going to be some restructuring to the stream bed this year to bring it back online. The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife came out and visited the site, and they worked with Jeff, and I think David was involved in that, but David's reading, so he doesn't know that. Anyway.
Well, David wasn't involved. I was involved in it.
Yeah, you were there. But I mean, David talked to Jeff.
David wasn't involved in it at that time, but he is going to be involved in it to get the work accomplished.
Yeah. So anyway, so we only, again, we have a real restricted time in the summer, depending on what summer weather does and things. They decide if we actually can get work done. That is supposed to be done this summer. So.
Has anything, Fred Sanchez,
Yep.
anything been started on that yet, on that south?
No.
Nothing yet, nothing at all, other than just looking?
Just looking so far. I don't
Okay.
think anybody's done anything else.
Jeff?
Just a meeting with Fish and Wildlife we have basically determined what the path that we need to take to get it accomplished.
Good. Jeff, when you were there, was there a stream through there now, or it just diverted over somewhere else? Is that
No,
right?
it's all fine. It's just that we need to build up the section right in front of our intake to bring the water in. So we need another check dam there. I think what was there before that was rebuilt a few years ago has settled a little bit. And so therefore it's not coming our way.
Got it. But this last summer it was dry, correct? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, so you have
that's
the
all right.
environment changes, but also the work that we did before, some of it is settled out. So we need to raise it up. I think it was like 6 or 8 inches just up above to bring it in.
Good. All right. Thank you.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, moving right along.
Okay, so.
It has never been used year-round. It's only been a 4-month use historically. So it's never a year-round service. Never has been.
Right. Right.
Thank you, Malcolm.
The only other, I didn't have any other questions in the capital outlay expenditures come through. The next question I had was operating contingency and how is this calculated? Operating contingencies can be any amount. However, the amount that can be transferred out of contingency line item is limited to 15% of a fund's total appropriations after adoption. So you don't, I mean, we have way less than that listed here. But if you put more than that in there, the only way you can transfer it out is if you did a supplemental budget, if it was more than 15% of expenditures. Again, the budget, a lot of the budget was worked around where do we have to have money and still be able to put the money in to the test well and the beginnings of a production well. That's what that's what the main part, as we went through the whole thing with the first set of numbers and then we went back through, it was related to making sure there was money in the line item for the test well and the beginnings of the production.
So just to make sure I'm staying organized, the line item 16 total capital outlay stays at 855,000. There's no change in that budget line item or anything above it in that section. And then you were just explaining why operating contingency has been reduced.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Any questions on that before she continues down to the bottom or on page 4? Go for it, Gail.
Okay, so those next line items are just the totals from each page. Obviously, the personnel services, that line item was changed to, I mean, that section was changed to 507,725,000. Then we should go over to page 5 at this point and look at the debt service in the general fund. Those amounts, we can't really do anything different with those. Those amounts need to be what they are, the principal and the interest to pay our loan.
Gail, I apologize. This is not a facilitator, board member's question. So before you turn the page, the line 25, unappropriated ending fund balance, that's just going to get adjusted based on the changes on the different line items. Is that correct?
No.
Okay, could you say then?
Okay, I'm sorry. I wanted to finish the whole budget, the other parts, all the expenditures, then we can go back to that, just because debt service is included in our expenditures on that page.
Thank you.
That's the only reason I was going forward with
Thank
that
you.
other page.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Okay, so anyway, there's not really, the budget committee can't really change anything with the debt service unless you wanted to pay more on it. Because that is a payment we are required to pay, the $138,458 for those, the principal and interest on that loan. That loan should be paid off in December of 2025. So just so everybody knows, not that far away. Anyway, and now we can go back to the other page unless there's a question about that. We can go back to page 4. That's where you have all the totals from all of the different pages.
Other than making the adjustments according to what Gail's already talked about, are there any questions on that bottom part from any of the budget committee members? Just head shake yes or no.
I'm good.
No.
Okay, cool. Then
Line
our,
5,
I can't even see your head shake, Malcolm. So I was making an assumption.
Yep. Sarah, the bottom line, the bottom total will be slightly different.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So if you look at the go back to the first page. What did I do with my first page? I need to add something.
Are you doing the math, Gail?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's doing the calculation right now.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I think this is when we can give a round of applause to the work that Gail has been doing on this.
Yeah.
Very much
I
appreciated.
agree. I think the budget was done very well. Whoever prepared it knows what they want. It was very easy to follow.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you. I had lots of help. So, okay, so the obviously that, like I said, line 19, which is personnel services, the total for that page is changed to the 507,725, like we discussed earlier. The other page totals are all the same. They're all the same as they were before. So total expenditures on line 24 is now 1,827,548.
Would you repeat that?
Yep, 1,827,548. And then unappropriated ending fund balance. And I believe I had a question about that, and I didn't put my answer on my little cheat sheet here. But unappropriated ending fund balances, again, when you're a fire district, or if you're a school district or some other districts, then, and you're depending upon property taxes to fund your operations completely, from July till November, when your majority of your revenues come in, then you need to absolutely make sure that you have money in unappropriated ending fund balance. That would be basically what you want for cash carryover for the next year, not the next year right now, but the year after. You want to make sure you have that much saved so that you could operate your district for that long until your money came in. With the water district, again, we could do that. We could plan and put in there obviously July through September or October how much money we normally need to operate. But we do have, what we have is we have water revenue. And so we're different than some of the other districts that depend upon just taxes. So that's why, and this year again, because we didn't know about the grant, we don't know about, there's another production well grant we might get. We have the option to get a loan on the production well. There's the possibility of rate increases. We don't know any of that. So again, we took from certain areas and put more money in the groundwater, which is the well project. So that's how we came up with that number.
Questions about that?
So it just raised it because it was so much significantly less than it has ever been in the past.
Right, and Malcolm, I know, I'm sure you know this because you've been in the budget committee before and you work with lots of budgets, but if you look at your history columns, the adopted budget column is the first one to your left. And you notice that one's $112,729. And then they get really big after that, $901,800 and $1,136,000. Okay, that was the actual amount of cash that was left over at the end of the year. That's not what was in the unappropriated ending fund balance when they adopted the budget. So like this year, we will have, when this fiscal year that we're in right now goes into the actual historical column, that number, that 112,000 will turn into like 800,000. It's going to be a lot bigger number. It'll be the 739,000 that we have in cash carryover, basically.
Okay.
Got it.
So it is way less. I agree with you. It is way less.
But one thing to note is that actual carryover is trending down. And
yes,
the board is also, because of that trending down, considering raising rates before long. I mean, somehow you have to change that trend.
It at least begs the question, right?
Correct.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I'm going to put the facilitator hat on and see if we can move through the rest of these items. What I think I'm hearing is that we have finished agenda item number 5. We have gone through all the line items. We've taken questions. Gail's given us new totals. Is that correct? Does anybody have other work they want to do this evening to discuss any line item before we move to brief public comments? So can I take your silence to mean we'll move forward? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So, we are gonna be pretty strict on a 3-minute limit per person on public comments. I believe we have 2 people in the audience. No, 3 people in the audience other than committee members, or maybe 4, I should say. So speak up if you would like to make public comments this evening. Okie dokie. I'm going to say that again. Speak up again if you would like to make public comments this evening. Gorgeous. Silence says something that maybe we've been thorough. So thank you for that. So now is the potential for a proposal to approve, and I'm going to see if I get this right, Jeff. I believe we want to ask the question whether or not this committee is ready to make a motion to approve the budget for fiscal year 2021 with the changes that have been recommended and recorded. If anybody is ready to make that proposal, please do. Or make a motion, I should
I
say.
will make a.
I would make the motion.
Okay, I think I heard Rick. Go ahead, say again.
Yeah. This is Rick. I'd make the motion to go ahead and approve the budget.
The
Or,
budget for fiscal year 2021
yes,
as amended.
As modified, yes.
yes, as modified.
Okay, and Kelly, did I hear you?
Yes, I'll second that motion.
Okay, and so Kelly is seconding that. Gail, did you get that?
Yeah, actually, I'm trying to look up, just a second. If we're gonna approve this, you need to add something to your motion. So if you don't mind.
Yeah, isn't there some specific language?
Yes, there is, and I had it printed out, and now I'm at a different desk and I don't have it. So just a second. I am getting it. Budget. Oh, well, that won't do that. I thought I was so good. I had it all printed out here, and then I don't have the piece of paper in front of me. So, April.
Sarah?
Is that Chris?
Yeah, Chris is here.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted to say something, but technically, public comment's over.
Sarah?
Had nothing to say.
It was Malcolm that had a question before. I do have the actual wording that you need for your motion.
Okay, beautiful.
But Malcolm, what's your question?
I think we need more clarity and understanding of the funding for the proposed projects and what projects we're going to do or intend to do within the district that have been set aside for a number of months or years.
So Malcolm, this is Sarah stepping in as budget committee head and say that feels very much, given where we are in the agenda and what we've moved through tonight, it feels like a board meeting agenda item to get really specific on how we're going to be moving through this project. So please, if you will, hold that as an agenda item for either our next meeting tonight or a future meeting. And thank you.
I agree with you. It is a board issue, but it does affect the budget too. Whatever the board comes up with, it seems like a little of it is upside down, that we haven't had those discussions and come to any kind of agreement or understanding within the board so that we know where we're headed with great confidence in the budget.
Okay. All right. So then when we, if there is a proposal made, and I think there has been one made and seconded, but we're thinking about some additional formal language, please make your vote reflect whether or not you are ready to adopt this without that further conversation.
Well, I didn't really follow, I couldn't hear him, Malcolm. What was his concern on what his question was?
Who is that?
That's Rick. Rick's asking the question.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, I just was wondering, I didn't hear Malcolm's concern.
Say it again, Mal.
Well, just clarification within the district of exactly where the funding is coming from, how the various projects are going to be funded. And when various projects, meaning ones that have been on hold for some months or years that haven't been done, does the district plan on doing those, or are they not going to be done because the money is being transferred all to a well project? Just clarify where we're at, where we really are going.
Can I answer part of that then? Is that okay, Sarah? Should I step in?
Yes, but Gail also, yes, please do, but have you found the formal?
Yes, yes, I have the formal wording.
Yes, please answer that. And Rick, if you want to answer as well, please.
Okay, so Malcolm, I think part of what's happening, I know that I have some more questions from you. I do have your Evans Road project numbers for you that I will send to you by email. But related to the 25-year plan, the other plans, I think part of what the personnel from the board are going to do with the district manager is they are going to look at also some of those other things of what's coming up. And the board has been discussing those other projects. And part of it is related, are we going to do things by contractor or by our own personnel? And then how do we go about which projects do we get finished because of that? Because right now it's been, as you well know, there hasn't been any major capital outlay projects done. And now they are working full force, apparently, to move forward with the test well to see if that will work. And because the source of water is basically the most important thing is we have to have water for our community, and obviously for the water district to exist, we have to have water to provide to people. So it hasn't been forgotten. Those other projects have not been forgotten. And there is a plan to work on those plans. So just so you know that.
Does that help, Malcolm?
Thank you, Gail.
And
You're
Rick,
welcome.
Rick, did you want to, did that help?
I heard it this time, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So Gail.
Okay, so if you just want to amend your motion slightly to approve the 2021 budget, as you already said, with the changes as discussed tonight, in the amount of 1 million, no, I lost my page. 1,843,853 with let me see, certifying that the permanent tax rate of 0.5781 per 1,000 of assessed value be used to calculate taxes necessary to balance the budget. So that's what you need to add to that motion.
Good luck, Rick. What is that motion?
So do you just add it, or do I have to repeat all that?
Well, if you want to say amended as I just said, then you're okay.
Okay, I will do that. Amended as was just stated.
Okay.
And Kelly?
Second that.
All right. So I believe all in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Aye. And does anyone object?
Perfect.
So may we make that as a unanimous approval of that motion? So does that, yes, I'm not hearing anybody say no.
Yes.
So that means we have hereby approved the budget for fiscal year 2021 as stated.
Yep.
This is when we get to clap.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
You know
And you
what?
did a
We're
great
gonna
job,
we're gonna
Sarah.
actually we're gonna actually be able to submit our budget on time to tax supervising and not ask for an extension. So it's
Right.
very good.
And,
You know
and
what I
Sarah,
would
I just wanted to mention, Sarah, you did a fantastic job.
You did a really good job.
Yes, you
Excellent
did,
job.
Sarah.
Yes,
Agreed.
Yes.
It's
Well, thank
greatly
you.
appreciated. And I'm still not sure whether it's Toonie or Toonie.
Tuni, T-U-N-I-E.
Mm.
How did we do?
Great. Good job. Laura did an excellent job going through. You did a perfect job during the budget committee meeting. That was a great meeting. I got
Right.
a lot of information. So yeah, make my review easy.
And
She wish all of them were that easy.
everybody. And Gail, is Linda still there with you?
Yep.
Tell her thank you very much for all her help. I very much appreciate
Here
it.
she
Yes,
comes. There
I'm
she
here.
is.
And to Jeff Busto or whoever helped to do it, you know, and
Yep.
that we don't see off stage. So I
And we'll,
believe,
yep, and we'll tell Tyler did a lot of stapling. So I'm going to tell Tyler, thank you for stapling. Tyler is an excellent stapler.
I believe what we want to do for sake of all of us is to make a transition to our board meeting. And so Gail, what do you propose? Are we going to sign off? Stay
You need
on?
to, you need to have your motion to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Motion
to
it.
adjourn.
Thank you,
Second
Kelly.
it.
Is there a second? Rick? All right, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Junior says yes, yes, yes.
That's good.
So
And
We're gonna-
you're all welcome to stay for our board meeting though. Everybody's welcome to stay for the board meeting.
May we take like 2 or 3 minutes to go off screen and then come back? Would that be all right?
Yes, I'll give you a minute and a half.
All right, all right.
Thank you, guys.
Already ran over your 20-minute extension.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Be safe, everybody.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
See you later. Come on.
Oh.
Are you awake, Bob?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm just looking forward to the meeting.
Yep, they ran over the 20-minute extension, so they should be moving right along with the meeting.
Yeah, we need to get in the other meeting, get going.
It's 45 minutes overdue already.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I
gonna
don't know if I may have to stop and walk away and do my insulin shot here. We'll see how long we go.
It's gonna keep you up past your bedtime, isn't it?
Yeah, no kidding. It's already almost there. Old guy's got to go to bed at 9 o'clock, you know.
Well, hopefully we can get through this pretty quick.
Oh, let's hope so. Anyway, I just don't want it to disconnect. As much trouble as I had getting it working. Oh.
I don't know. I don't have the Chex Mix to eat though.
You don't have the what?
The Chex Mix that we have, I mean, to eat.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's pretty. We're getting hungry.
I know.
Gail didn't send any around by, what's that delivery service?
Yeah.
DoorDash.
Yeah, but
Yeah, what the
well,
heck?
I meant to have a picture of a bag and put it up so you guys could see that Linda and I had Chex Mix and you don't have any.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as there was
Fred's
something.
here.
No.
I still don't get Dan.
You don't have Dan?
You can't see me?
there?
Uh-uh.
Huh, he's there.
Dan?
I can
Yeah.
see Jeff. I can see Fred.
I
Okay.
have everybody else except for Dan.
Ended up putting it
So
over
is
here.
I went away for a second.
on? Us-
I need to write down
us-
his-
No, you're,
So we got all the board, right?
I don't see anybody right now.
We have Gordon, Chris, we have David, right? So all the board, Gordon, Chris, and David, and then Chris Whitka. Chris Whitka, oh, she must have left her chair, so.
okay.
So
well,
Gordon, can you hear us okay? Gordon? What?
Can't hear him.
Yeah, I don't think we can hear you, Gordon.
Perfect.
I can't hear you. Do you have another spot, another microphone on there? Is there a little, it's either at the top or the bottom. Sometimes you have to click it to unmute it.
Mine says it's, can you hear me okay, Gail?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Yeah, but Gordon, I can't hear.
Oh, I can see Chris.
Well, there's Chris now.
Yeah, I lost my video, but I can hear everybody, so.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So let's get started. So we're going to open the regular board meeting of April 21st, 2020 at 8 o'clock. All board members are present. Let's see the agenda. So approval of the agenda. I do want to add one item to the board, to the agenda to add an intern, to discuss an intern district manager, interim district manager to help with the district.
Okay.
And that would be new business number 4.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. And then I have one thing.
Yes.
We need to remove, just up at the top of the agenda, item number 5, the leak adjustment for account 8660. The customer is sick and has requested that they can be there in May, so they would come to the May meeting, and you would have the leak adjustment at that time, request at that time.
Okay. So can I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as modified?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as modified.
And I'd like to second that, Dan.
I have a motion and a second
great.
to approve the
Yeah.
agenda as modified. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the minutes for the special board meeting, February 11th. Do I have any modifications? Or can I have an approval, a motion to approve?
My turn.
Go ahead, Fred.
Right. I'm still awake. I'm still here. I move that we approve the February 11th, 2020 meeting as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the February 11th, 2020 special meeting minutes as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Regular board meeting minutes for February 18th, 2020. Do I have any modifications to that one? Can I have a motion to approve?
Come on, Sarah. Wake up.
No, I'm not asleep. I'm just.
How about you, Bob? Can you make the motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We accept it as written.
And
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the February 18th, 2020 regular board meeting minutes as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see. So the leak adjustment we're not doing. So Sarah, you're up again. Treasurer's report for February and March.
Right. So if you, yes. Okay, so again, I reviewed the documents for February and for March. I made my notes and questions. I spoke with Gail about them. In working off of the, now I'm talking about February, and I'm not sure you can see it, but I have the summary of accounts for February 2020. And I'm looking specifically at the line item on the first page under materials and services, about 2/3 the way down, meter repairs being at 265% of budget. And noting that there was another $1,060 spent in February. So Gail and I spoke about that just to help me basically understand that this was another external contractor, Fowler, doing a repair. So and then that shows up in both meter repairs and meter costs. Where's that sound coming from?
Not me.
No.
I can keep going, but
Gail, you got it.
basically, all I'm really saying is that there was a 2 1-inch meters and 3 1-inch registers that were purchased for stock, and that's where that $1,060 came from, to help me understand what that is. So those are items that are in stock. I'm just going to keep going with that sale. Okay? The other question I had related to February treasurer's report is really the fact that on the back page of the summary, the personnel services, and this is no surprise, but you'll see that at the end of February, we've only spent 38.5% of the budget. And you have to ask, when we're that close towards the end of the fiscal year, why is that? And so again, to understand it kind of falls into 2 or 3 categories. First of all, we've got $100,000 in PERS unfunded liability that we haven't spent. So a big chunk of that lack of spending is that PERS unfunded liability. Then we also know, no surprise, that we don't have a utility worker, that we're down 1 person, and we therefore are not spending some of the dollars in that category.
You can chat with just him.
Okay. But finally, I think the important part for me and us as we move forward next year as a board is that we have a district manager who's had some illnesses and has been out a lot. And we have a utility worker too who has also missed a lot. And so we have a personnel issues that need to be addressed. And maybe in part, this new item that Jeff Hargens brought up will start to address that. But I would just bring that up, and you'll see it again in the March Treasurer's report. It's the same thing. We need to figure out what we're doing on personnel big time. And we got some issues, multiple issues that need to be resolved. So with that, unless there are other questions, that is the end of my February Treasurer's report. Are there questions or other comments?
We'll be taking up this personnel issue as we move further along in the meeting, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So I'd like to get a motion to approve February Treasurer's report.
I'd like to move that we approve the, with special applause to the person preparing it. Well, might as well end it nicely. So.
Is that a motion?
Yeah. With many
I
thanks.
second that. So I have a motion and a second to approve February's 2020 Treasurer's report as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Aye. And now March.
So now March.
Anything to add for March?
So the only thing, what's that?
I just wanted, Bob, did you vote? Did you say yes?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Your mouth didn't move.
His mouth is like frozen.
I know.
Yeah.
Got his video. So then for the March, again, looking back on the first page of the summary of accounts, it says March 2020. And again, I did dig into the other documents, but I'm just orienting you through on this summary of accounts. So now meter repairs is at 395%, whereas in February it was 265%. So the question is, what's that new $640 spending in March? This was, and when I looked it up, it said Hydra. And I started thinking, David, were you doing this work? So I talked to Gail about it, and it was not David Hydra. It's about one of David's loaner employees, Darren, who helped Tyler on, I believe, a meter install or a meter repair.
No, it was several meters installed, the 3/4 inch meters that were left to have the new meters installed, all but one of them. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So again, it's kind of an outside contractor work type of thing. Again, an expense that we're seeing being done. Thank you, David, for that, for Darren helping. The other item that I had question about was under the treatment plant on capital outlay. It's the next to bottom line on that front page of the summary of accounts. We're only at 102%. So not a big deal that way, but I noticed that in March we spent $7,338. So it caused up in my mind to say, did something go wrong? Or, you know, did something finally happen? And Gail tells me that it went for a turbidity meter, 6,900 of it in round numbers went for a turbidity meter. And so it's parts only that we actually got in February that were paid in March. So again, no big deal other than just a clarification of the parts are in place. And for me, it's yet another issue that rolls over to this fiscal year that we ask the question, when's it going to happen? Or how's it going to happen? And who's going to do the work, right? So those are the only two items that I would bring to you for the
Sarah?
Treasurer's report. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Sarah. This
Yes,
is
sir.
Bob. I'm just curious with Jeff being sick for 6 or 7 weeks, why did he have sick pay coming? He got like half his pay or something for March? Wasn't here. Or should we talk about that later?
Say again, are you talking about something under personnel services, Bob?
Yeah, the district manager got paid $1,900 and he wasn't here. And I don't think he had any vacation or sick time coming, but I don't know.
Thank you for that. So Gail, do you have clarification on the district manager making $1,900 in March?
Why he made $1,900?
Yeah.
Well, I can give you part of it. I mean, the payroll sheets are, you know, they're signed off by the board members who sign the checks. So that's when they're reviewed, is by a board member to see what is actually written down. I know that the first week of that month, Jeff was here. He was here. He was the on-call person that week. And I am not looking at his time card. I know there were some hours later in March that were also included in that. Yes.
Okay,
And he
I didn't know he worked part of the month.
Right.
Yes.
He was here that first week, and then he also has been partially working from home, monitoring the treatment plant and the reservoirs.
Okay. I just question. I didn't know what was going on there.
That's a good question. Other questions?
I do want to discuss with the board. We do have to be careful when we're discussing the illnesses and stuff of the personnel.
Okay.
Careful, can you say careful in what way? That we don't cross personnel boundaries or privacy boundaries?
Yes.
Correct.
So Gail, is it okay that we asked about the time card kind of thing, or that you answered that way, or just?
Well, I tried to answer in general terms. I'm not going to give you the exact specific hours that were listed. That's something that's up to when board members sign the time cards. The point of that is that for the district manager, the board member has to sign them, that they review those at that time. And if questions come up, then it can be addressed by the board. But that's just go into very specifics about those kind of
Sorry.
things. No, that's okay, Bob, you're fine.
Everything
You're
is just fine.
Yeah, that's why, and it's a good question to ask. How do we handle it? So.
Yes.
So that's the end of my treasurer's report for March, unless anybody has any questions.
The only question I had, Sarah, and I don't know the answer, but the PRV station in capital outlay, which is 100%, but it's 100% that there was no budgeted amount.
Okay,
and I guess, for one thing, I'm surprised that there's no budgeted amount. So it's 100% of nothing, which is a big negative. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Can I just address that? You talked about that PRV station before. The one at Ross Mountain. that they did right after the beginning of the fiscal year. And I know you had a discussion about that. That's the one that up there that everybody was noticing, you know, there was that problem. And so
okay.
yeah, so that's from July. That one is, those expenditures were made back in July, and you had a discussion back in August about that exact expenditure and what happened there.
So it's just something that comes up.
It just came up. And
so is there
and
other ways is there other ways of coding things, like
I know,
going
and
into
that's
systems improvements or something that it just wouldn't show such a big negative on items that aren't budgeted, but they're in the same categories?
well,
Does that make sense?
and you, yes, that does make sense. And you asked that same question back in August.
Okay.
And the reason we
I
put
have
it,
to be reminded a lot.
yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, it's just, I was gonna say, I remember we had that discussion, because yes, we could move it to something else. However, the whole part of the budget is the idea that if you have a line item where something should go, to show historically what has happened in the future, so that you know next year you look at it and you go, oh, maybe we should put money in this line item. If you don't put it there, even though you had 0 this year, if you don't put it there, you're not going to know for next year, should I put money there?
That makes very good sense. Yes, yeah. I agree.
And it's also telling the truth. That's what you spend it on.
And the 2 meetings ago, the last time we met face to face, there was that report that I tried to do that I don't claim I did a very good job of, but it was in lieu of the treasurer's report, where we looked at all the items, and I interviewed Jeff Busto to understand like what you're talking about and a bunch of other stuff. And what we came away with was, does the line item explain appropriately what's going on in it operationally? So anyway.
Okay. So can I have a motion to approve March Treasurer's Report?
I'll make a motion to approve the March Treasurer's Report as presented.
Second. Good job, Dan.
I have a motion and second to approve March March of 2020 Treasurer's Report as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Old business, award of the test well, ASR project.
Boy, I have some
Chris or
questions here.
Tim, are you here?
Chris is there.
Oh, did we lose?
Chris, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Chris is
okay.
here.
There you
I heard
are.
Tim. I'm sorry.
So can you go through the bids that we got?
Sure. So
The board has the tabulation page that you sent out. They
Okay.
have that page in front of them. And the other thing they have is the draft notice of intent to award without a company name in it. So just so you know, they have those 2 items.
Okay. Well, just kind of summarize the bid tabulation. If you've had a chance to look over it, you can kind of see that the costs for the line items varied quite a bit amongst the 3 bidders, with some of the larger differences in cost being water management, cost per foot for drilling the borehole, and then also some of the optional line items varied quite a bit given the limited scope for those. But taking that all in total, the lowest responsible bidder was Schneider Water Services of St. Paul, Oregon. The second lowest bidder was Holt Services out of Washington. And then the highest bid we received was from Yellow Jacket Drilling of Sandy, Oregon, but based out of Arizona. They were all pre-qualified. There was no issues with any of the mathematics of the arithmetic on their proposals. So based on that and based on the pre-qualification, my recommendation and Tim Schell's recommendation was to issue a notice of intent to award to Schneider Water Services of St. Paul, Oregon.
Okay. What
Okay.
what are the terms and conditions on us paying on this? You know, if we're gonna sign something tonight, I'm just curious, what provisions are there for overruns or payment schedule? You know, when does it, how long does he have to start?
So the way that we had written the bid documents, we had 30 days of notice of intent to award. You have 30 days for comment on the award till you give the notice of award. And then after that, it's basically water would be available and when the district would want to schedule that work. As far as liability, if you wanted to cancel the work, I think David talked about that at the special meeting a little bit about what the burden would be for the district should the work get canceled or postponed indefinitely. But as far as terms and conditions, we provided a sample agreement, and generally the contracting is the next step after the notice of award, and that's an opportunity for both the contractor and the district to negotiate terms and conditions.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just wondering, when he hits the field, we got to pay him. I'm assuming 64,000. Is that correct? Line one.
Yep.
And I did have some questions. I know you kind of touched it, but yeah, like one guy was 8,000 and the other guy was 44 for the same thing and 24. That was like on concrete or something. Why would that vary so much? That's kind of scary. Is the low bid not, is he missing something?
Well, so some of these are services, so they set their cost. So and some of this may be just related to what they have, materials they have on hand. So you know, I've seen similar well projects where the contractor has a significant amount of materials in his yard that he's already paid for.
Yeah, like pipe, casing.
The price of steel might have gone up since he purchased them.
Right.
And so he can give you a better cost for installing steel casing.
Okay.
And you know, it also just depends on a little bit on not only that, but who their distributor is. There's different distributors of material. So maybe the folks that had the very low cost for per foot for the concrete cement seal, they may know a local distributor and have some sort of price negotiated. I mean, some of these things are not hardwired, like say, for example, the cost to build the well house for a 10 by 10 concrete masonry unit building. Those costs are more well-defined, and you know, certainly there's some flexibility in how the contractor sets his price.
Okay. Yeah, I just know, what about, I guess that'd be in the contract. Let's say he gets into this and all of a sudden, can he overrun and want 700,000? Or is that when the contract is written, we said you know, I mean, how firm is this bid, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, there's terms and conditions in and if you didn't mistakenly hit print on the first version I sent out of this bid package, you might not have seen it, but there's the Oregon contract law that kind of spells some of that out.
Okay.
How change orders are going to be done. We have a change order form included in the bid package. There's also an opportunity for us to say, you know, we basically, if you look in the bid document, we do say, you know, we will not you cannot proceed without work being authorized by the engineer. That would be myself or a representative of the district. So there are clauses within the bid document and then also in the contract language that that should prevent that.
Okay, yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at this because I really don't know a lot about it, but when I saw all these disparities on certain lines, I was kind of go, what the hell?
Well, and some of that again is how, and I'll use the term hungry the contractor is. Sometimes the other term you'll hear folks say is that they bought their way into the project because they have a drill rig sitting and a crew sitting idle, and so
You're better off keeping them working.
yeah, when the drill rig's moving, turn to the right, that's better for the contractor. So
okay. And you know these guys, I mean, you know, he isn't going to come up with a hand punch and a pounder.
no.
I mean, he's got good equipment. That's what I'm getting at. He has the.
Hey, Chris and Bob, I can talk that a little bit. Schneider just did our ASR3 well out there for Beaverton. They just got done with it a couple months ago. So
okay.
They just did one for us. They've done 2 wells for us in the last 5 years.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
They did Cooper Mountain as well, and to that end, I worked with them on the City of Fairview's well 9, and that was a federally funded project which had lots of tighter restrictions on reporting, invoicing, made in America. So basically it was a little bit more complicated project to manage, and they did a great job.
Okay, thank you
for their ability to deliver the project.
Good. That's good to know.
As Daniel did as well.
So Chris, just to back up a second. So this is a letter of intent to award, and then we have 30 days to award the job. Is that correct?
There's 30 days for it to be contested.
Okay. Contested by who?
One of the bidders.
Okay. So it's just an intent to award, and then in 30 days we would assume award the job to them, and then can they start at any particular time, or was there time frames when we told them that they could start?
Yeah, there were dates that we included in the bid document for completion and then starting, and basically we gave them 60 days to perform the work. So I don't have those dates right off the top of my head, and I can't put my finger on them right here, but I think the timeline was starting no later than October to give them 60 days.
And starting later than, yeah, because we were trying to coincide it with our grant funding also.
Right. So I think we wanted it to be a little bit later than August, because that was when the contracting would be complete. Is that right, Gail? You're on mute, Gail.
I couldn't hear that last part. What? Just a very question.
We were delaying the start of the work to coincide with the time it might take for us to get the contracting in place through grant funding.
Yes, that's right. We were, because they'll take a little while to actually prepare that grant award. That's part of what we were delaying for. Yes.
And Sarah had a really great count at the special meeting, but I don't have it. So.
And I don't have it right now either.
I had a.
Do you want me to try to
Okay.
find it? No.
I had a question, kind of covering over what Bob had mentioned, and then Chris, you and Dan both have had a lot of experience with this firm. One of the questions was asked about overages, overrides, etc. Was there any on any of the jobs? Dan, you worked with them on a couple of jobs, and Chris, you've had experience. Have there been any history of change orders on these jobs, or very many of them, or?
So like on our projects and stuff, you'd have to have a change of conditions to get a change order and stuff.
Right.
I mean, they've got a price per foot, which is, I look at this thing and I'm like, well, on the drilling part that gets expensive, they're the cheapest price per foot. So if we had to go deep, say we had to go to 1,600 feet instead of 1,400 feet, we got the driller that we want to do that. If we didn't find the water and we said, hey, go deeper, their price per foot's a really good price. The lump sum stuff, a lot of contractors will front load their contracts and stuff, so they have some working capital while they're getting up and going until they start getting their footage in or their materials and stuff. So with dealing with them, I think with any other contractor, you have issues and stuff. They were solid, I would say. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but sometimes it goes as good as the contractor or as good as the project manager with the project to facilitate some of that stuff too. So,
without giving any proprietary things away, were there any changes that became substantial?
Yeah. There was with
Okay.
our ASR 6, but that was because it wasn't part of the bid. It was unforeseen, and it changed. And sometimes when that happens,
right,
they're kind of at free will to name their price on some stuff.
Right. Okay, so that could be an issue. But Dan, how about you? You had some experience with them as well. Was there? Were there any? Oh, excuse me. Okay.
Yeah,
Chris?
Yeah. So, Fred, to answer your question, there was some change on our project. Had to do with the materials that we needed to get, and it was just sort of an engineering and materials issue because it was Buy American, and so there was some change orders there, and then also some minor changes to do with weld rings on and some other materials they needed to complete the well as designed that weren't specifically called out in the bid package. So,
okay, all right.
And I've worked with them on other projects that weren't well construction, but were well rehab and other services, and they're very good at communicating what the costs are going to be ahead of time, telling us options, and I've never had a real big issue working with them from a change order perspective or
good
performance perspective.
Yeah, these are always contracts. I'm always amazed at how, no matter how good the contractors are, there just seems to always be change orders, and sometimes they're quite expensive. So we just won't know until they start getting in there and doing it. Is that about a fair assumption?
Well, as Dan pointed out, it was a good point. The biggest unknown for us is depth.
Okay.
And we like you said, I think this is the most advantageous out of the three bids that we received. This is the one that would accommodate that.
Okay. All right.
So
Well,
there could be unforeseen things with prices of steel, or actually maybe they're going to give us a discount because they're giving away fuel right now, right? I mean, so
exactly.
Diesel's free. So
good luck, right?
At any rate, some of those things, might come up down the road.
Okay. Well, we'll hope for the best. Right. Okay, that's good. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Just to let you know, the earliest start date was speculated to be June 30th.
Okay. So
I got a question then on that. How's all I guess it relates to it on the start date and stuff. How's I guess it's probably might be in there later stuff, the easement and all the other stuff going for those guys being able to do their test well? I mean, is all that stuff on track for that date too?
Well,
as far as that's the next topic, but yeah, I don't foresee any issues there, except for you and I, Dan, have quite a bit of work to do to prepare for
Kind of what I was getting at. But I kind of want to go play.
Uh-huh.
I have the rock ready to go. How's that?
I seen the truck come. I seen the truck and transfer the other day. I figured it was going up there somewhere.
Bob, shall we bring our shovels over and give them a hand?
Yeah, yes, you're going to.
Right.
Pulling the stumps is going to be the worst problem.
Oh, okay.
So I think we need to have a motion to approve the intent of the award. Is that correct, Gail?
Yeah, motion to award, yep, to the intent to award, yes.
So I'll make a motion that we send the notice of intent to award to Schneider of St. Paul, Oregon.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to send out an intent to award to Snyder. It's SWS for the contract that we received their bid on. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that's that. So the next item is the well access agreement. And Bob, I'm probably going to turn this over to you because it does involve me as the owner.
Okay. I'm looking at it. My understanding is what we're signing is just an agreement to go out and negotiate the rest of the terms, right?
The agreement to what? The agreement for the water district and the contractor to be able to access the property for the test well site, you know, the test well driller.
That was the,
That's
okay.
that one, yes. You should have
Yeah,
a copy of it there, Bob.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where I put it. I've had moving so much stuff around.
While he's looking, is this the I can't remember the name of the woman who Fred
Yes.
recommended. What was
Yes.
her again?
Janet Newman, and it's the early entry and well agreement.
Right, yeah. But this is the work that she drew up, right?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, I know I've got it. I just I don't know where I put it, to be honest.
It's marked the old business. Somebody with really good handwriting put on there
Early entry
1B.
well agreement.
There it is.
Yes, yes, there you go, Bob.
Okay. So do we have to?
And this
everybody
is
speak?
only the
Okay.
temporary easement, not the
This is
permanent.
just for the test well, Mhm.
Right. So it needs to be signed by the Hargans and Busto, so.
And
Probably everybody should look at item under number 3, or, well, look at the whole thing, of course, but I think is what maybe somebody might be curious about is item B, the permanent easement on there. And so that's the next step on that.
Thank you, Fred.
Oh, I'm sure you would have caught it, Bob. I've never understood what the word good, well, I guess I do. Good faith. Okay, good faith. So
It means I'll try and be honest.
okay, you're a good guy, right? That's it. So, all right. We should say thank you actually to the Hargans. This is going to be terrific to have,
Where is the piece that we talked about that was that the easement is permanent as long as the district uses the well? That if we as a district were to abandon the well, the easement would go away. What's happened with that?
Isn't that a different easement? Isn't this
it's a
just
different
a temporary?
easement, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what Fred was talking about in number 3B, the permanent easement.
Right.
I just was going further. So
Would come underneath that section.
So if we were looking at this from kind of both sides and sort of Jeff as property owner and those of us not property owner district representatives. I guess I'd ask Jeff, are you satisfied with this as the landowner?
The only comments I have on it, and I'll be absolutely honest, is I want the district to use as little as property as needed. And because obviously I don't want to tear out trees and everything and then only use a certain smaller area. I want to give them enough room to utilize what they need, but I also want it to be as small as possible. And I think right now it is 100 by 150. If we could get that down to maybe 100 by 120 or something a little bit, I just want to make sure that we're using as small as possible. That's my big comment. My other one, and
before you go any further, where is the 100 and 150? I'm
on the
sorry.
very last page, if you flip it over, they show the test well location and the map of it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and I want to rely on the engineers to reduce that as much as possible. That's all I ask. And if it has to be 100 by 150, fine. But if it can be somewhat smaller, that's great. Or at least, or whatever we leave permanently. The other couple issues is insurance. I want to make sure that I am additionally insured on the contractors and on the district, that if they're on the property, they're covered by their insurance, that I have no liability.
Correct.
Which is very common.
Does that show up?
That will be in the contract with the well driller. When we get to those contract negotiations, all additional insured, including the landowner, will be listed at that time, and we'll get certificates to show that everybody's insured.
Okay, and that would also be for the district employees would have to be insured.
Yes, and Chris Augustine, our engineer, you know, everybody will be listed, yes.
Right. And then another thing, which I didn't really see in this agreement, that they would be restricted to that area of the property. And I think we should have that area like temporarily fenced where the contractor is going to be in there, which is pretty inexpensive to have a temp fence while they're doing the work.
Well,
in that area, pardon me?
Why?
Because, well, for two reasons. I don't want them to go off of that area into the other area for two different reasons, for sanitary and for fire. We are going to be doing this during fire season. I don't want them up over into the timber at all. Does that make sense? You can envision what's going to be there is there's going to be a pad of rock all the way across there that's all leveled off and everything where their equipment's going to be, and I need them to stay on that work area.
Right. Can't blame me there.
And the only way you can really do that would be to like put up a temp fence, which you can rent for 6 months or a year. I mean, you're looking at a few $100s to do that and keep them in that area. I don't want their workers going out into the timber smoking or doing whatever. I need them to stay in that area, confined.
So would that be a proposal to put something additional under district's obligations? Is that what I'm trying to.
I guess I don't know where to put it, Sarah. I was just making those comments as I read through it.
Well, it's not a landowner's obligation. It's something about.
No, it would be like a district's obligation to temporarily fence it.
I got a question for that, Jeff, and everybody else, and especially for Chris. Is there anything that's in the contract with for the bid stuff to where Schneider would have to contain their site for safety and any of that kind of stuff? Is there anything that we can do it that way? It'd be just like any other contract that shows up on the site where they would fence it to keep their equipment safe, liability issues and all of that. Just curious.
I'd have to go back and look. Again, I don't have it in front of me right now, but I do think we put in a section under mobilization that they're responsible for their security fencing, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
I would think they would want to
Yeah.
We've got problems.
out there. I mean, really.
And I get what Jeff's saying about being as efficient with the footprint as much as possible, just to limit the exposure, and you could environmental, all kinds of different reasons of being as efficient with the space up there as possible.
I'm actually wondering if you could do at minimum, something like a not to exceed without approval, right? So that even if it could be a footprint that was less than 100 by 150, if you had something that was, it can't be bigger than this unless you give prior approval, would at least begin to give you some assurance.
That would be fine, Sarah. I mean, we could stay with that and not to exceed the 100 by 150 that's in there. And that's fine. If we can reduce it, great. That's all I'm asking.
Who came up with this footage?
I think we did the day when we were out on that site visit with the proposed bidders.
Oh, that's good. Then everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, it was all discussed and everything, which is fine. It's just, it would be nice to keep it minimal.
I think, well, Dan, that was a good point. Maybe there's provision in these contracts that the contractors are, for their own benefit, want to protect their equipment. And
well, and that would, then it would force, it wouldn't be on Jeff's shoulders or on the district shoulders. It'd be part of the contract.
Right, right. Yeah, we don't want the district to be on it, nor Jeff. So that's certainly.
Well, I think it would also go a long ways towards, so one thing we haven't really discussed or concerned is this is in a forested area, and we could be under the restrictions of the Oregon Department of Forestry for fire. So as you get into August and September,
water tank.
It's not only that, you may have restricted hours, there's a lot of different issues, and having a rocked area and having it fenced will probably go a long ways to be able to keep them working.
Plus you got a hydrant right there about 50 feet away.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about it. It's just that when they leave, or if someone goes out in the woods,
I know.
You don't want to cause a fire either.
Yeah, the typical issues are with hot work, like welding and cutting and torching. But we have a water management plan because we have too much water. So
right,
there's reasons for that. So, but it's definitely a valid concern, Jeff.
So where do we go with this? I mean, are we looking to edit this document right now? Or are we just taking suggestions for a future review? What are we doing here?
I think I think you do a slight edit of my concerns if it's valid. But that's pretty much my concerns.
And bring it back next month or what?
Well, if you're going to move forward with land clearing, wait a month.
I can't hear you, Dale.
Probably we need to be cautious. This was prepared by a legalese, an attorney, and before we go tampering with their work, probably need just some clarification. I agree, though. You don't want these guys all over the property. It's a valid point, but there it is. It's 100 by 150 feet. So obviously there must be some kind of an agreement at the beginning. And I think, reducing it, that should be reasonable if you can, but maybe for the staging part of it, that's what they need, I guess.
So how about if I respond to this letter, to these intents? I'm trying to think how we can do this, because I almost need to respond to the board. I'm trying to think. If I respond with a letter or an email, and then if you feel that it's appropriate, you send it to that the legal counsel to modify, and then we get it back. I mean, that's kind of the proper channels, wouldn't it be?
Yes.
I would think so.
Well, if you weren't on the board, you would ask the landowner to review it, and then they would send you a request if they had any changes they wanted made. So we're pretending like you're not on the board. So therefore,
Correct.
yeah, that you do that. And then we send those recommendations. If the board has no objections to what the landowner wants, then we send it to our attorney, and our attorney can change the.
So I will send it basically back to you, Gail, as the water district clerk, and I will respond in the next couple of days with my concern, and then you can send it out. And if we need to, if the timing is necessary, we can set up a special Zoom to send it on, or I mean, whatever the.
Oh, we are.
But I mean, so we could, I mean, I don't know how else to handle it, but that's a start.
I think on that site security stuff with the fence, I think there's another angle there too, because this is a drinking water well, and through the Oregon Drinking Water and the OHA and all of that stuff, they are going to have to keep that site secure so somebody doesn't come up there and vandalize or pour something down that well casing when they're not there and stuff. So, you know, I think we have an angle to where we can ask for some site security and some fencing around that place, just as the water district and, you know, through Chris or through Jeff Busto.
So you're saying as part of the contract, when you actually have the contract with the well drilling company,
yeah,
then you would do that part. Yeah,
That's pretty normal for water supply wells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they'll secure the well every day by just their equipment.
Put a cap back on.
Put a cap on it and then drop the equipment on it. So unless you can start the equipment, you can't access the well. So there'd be no potential for any messing with the drinking water well, but
The
certainly
contamination,
the equipment needs to be secured as well. So, and that's
Yeah.
they put up a security fence and
Jeff, you and your
batten
son
down
have
the
a.
hatches before they leave the site.
So is it, just so I understand, so is it more than, we're not as worried at this point about the fencing, because that could be included in the contract, as the homeowner, excuse me, the landowner apparently is going to send an email related to a request that the agreement be amended to a not to exceed footprint of 150 by 100, I think that was. Is that what you're going for as the landowner?
Yes, I am going to request that it not to exceed that area, that it be reduced as much as practical or possible with the contractor, that area to be reduced as much as possible, and that the area be temporarily fenced, not a permanent fence, temporarily fenced and secured, and that all personnel are to stay inside that fenced area.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, I don't want them wandering off into the tree for whatever reason. Absolutely not.
You don't want them wandering off and doing business in the woods. Or smoking.
And so all of,
and I'm
all of
assuming
that
they
would-
have portable sanitary services there, so.
And so all of that would be necessary in this agreement, not in, just in the contract then with the well driller, right? All of those items you would want in this agreement, not in.
I think this is just the agreement, whether the district has it in their contract with the owner, with the contractor or not, is up to the district, but.
Okay.
Okay,
I mean, it's pretty minimal.
okay. Is that all we need with that?
Other than that, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
And when does the board think, when do we need the agreement actually, when do we actually need an agreement in place? What is the, what's your, the hope date that you hope to have it done?
I guess whenever the contractor wants
How
to
soon
start,
before-
is we have to have it
Well, I
done.
was gonna say, how soon before the well drilling do you want to have it started? Because you have land clearing, which you're going to do the land clearing. But is there anything
Which I can do anytime.
Right, but I mean, is there anything before the driller gets there that the water district's required to do at the property that we would need the agreement in place before that? That's all I'm asking. I don't know that there is. Just asking.
I would hope that we could have it done. Let's see, that we would have it finalized at the next board meeting, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
We probably need to, because that would be like in May. I mean, and then
So
I was thinking we should have it done by 1st of June.
Jeff,
I would say, maybe I'm misunderstanding this, but I think this agreement should be in place before you even start clearing anything, because if something went sideways and you went in there and did work and we never got an agreement and you even wanted to get paid for the clearing that you did, we would say no, right? I mean, I'm making that up, but just sort of like, I think the timeline on getting this thing settled should be sooner rather than later, before any work starts, if I'm hearing this correctly.
Yes, it would be nice, but I'm doing the work at my own schedule and everything.
I know, okay. I just, or at least we need to say that out loud so that you know, potentially you would be at risk.
Yes, I totally understand.
Okay.
And you can put that in the notes that you're telling me I would be at risk to get started earlier. No, I would. I mean,
duly noted.
Why not?
Duly
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way. So are we done?
We're good with it. I mean, just those couple of items. I am concerned that when restrictions, if the contract with the well driller, if they're going to fall under any Forest Service restrictions of fire season, I do not know that answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because they won't like it. I mean, because then they'll be restricted, you know, to shut down at
noon,
1 or 2, and have a 1 hour standby time or whatever.
If somebody's drilled a big well like this before, and Schneider has done this kind of work before, they're not doing it in a residential area normally, right? I mean,
they do them everywhere.
Yeah,
Our
okay,
wells in
so
Beaverton are residential.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
So, but I
But
mean,
this-
so
but
wouldn't they
this
do
one
them in
is
other
in-
areas too?
This one is in Forest Service
Right, yeah.
area, designated area. So,
I mean, they're used to working in Eastern Oregon, Eastern Washington, dry conditions, fire danger. It's just because they're in St. Paul doesn't mean they're always drilling in the rain. So
okay. Just a
So
concern.
the only question, now that the landowner has given his opinion, then the board members need to make sure that they don't have any other discussion that they want to have regarding this agreement, if they don't have any objections without.
The only thing that I would just reiterate, if I'm hearing sort of Dan and Chris appropriately, that these things will likely come under the contract with the contractor, the agreement with the contractor. Under this, on the second page, under district's obligations, B says conditions of access. And the language in there is all the actions undertaken, blah, 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 for agents, employees, agents, contractors, representatives, da, 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 pursuant to the agreement. So I just think we need to make sure that that B statement is broad enough and specific enough to sort of take care of all of the safety, fire, you know, the stuff that you say is probably in their contract anyway. So I guess I would just ask, yeah, sorry.
If I'm reading that with the conditions of access, where it says that right there, anyone entering the district's request or with the request, direction, invitation pursuant to the agreement shall proceed in accordance with the bid documents issued by the district for the ASR project.
Right.
So that right there is probably going to be the meat of where you would require those guys. Because even if, so say it's not in the bid docs and they didn't bid it or something like that, this is the thing that Bob was asking about or something. This would be a change of condition because it isn't accounted for anywhere. And
Yeah.
the fencing might be a change order to the district or something like that. But if it's something that to get the easement that the landowner would require, that is where the district would go to get that put in there. Because once it's in the bid documents for the ASR, then Schneider, anybody with the water district, anybody coming up there would have to follow in through. That would be the channel to do it. But that, you know what I mean right there, because that's where that's the conditions of access. So
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
what I'm saying is if part of the easement requirement is that there is temporary fencing between the landowner and the district for this easement, that right there where the bid documents will be the thing that controls the avenue to make Schneider put fencing up. And if it's not somewhere in the bid documents at the time right now, I could see where it might be a change order or something like that would be worst case scenario for the district, but that would be in there like a contingency or something like that.
So are
Or
you?
in,
Yeah.
I have a comment on that.
Yeah.
what's that? Go ahead.
That would probably be best if the district rented the fence and had it installed, because the test well contractor is going to come on site, do their thing, and leave, and not have that fence on their bill. And so this way the fence can stay there until the final resolution is complete, because you'll have a period of time when you have the test well done. Then you'll have another period of time when you're playing with the test well, when Chris is pumping water or whatever. And then there'll be the time of construction. But if the district has the fence installed and pays rent on the fence for the duration, it's all covered until the final fence, which is required by Department of Health, is installed or wavered out, depending upon the method of construction. But whether it's in the contract for the test well, I believe that it probably makes most sense for the district to just hire a fence company to put in a temporary fence and be done with it.
I like that idea a lot.
That is a very good idea, and it's really not that expensive, and they come install it.
Yeah.
And you rent it for like a year or 2 years, or I mean, it's not like for a month, it's 6 month increments or a year.
Right.
Okay.
So how do we move forward on this, Gail?
I think you've already said that the homeowner's going to send me an email tomorrow.
Okay.
And then the board has decided to wait for the attorney to return with whatever new agreement she comes up with.
Okay.
And then at the May meeting, unless you have a special board meeting, at the May meeting, you will then move forward with the agreement if it's everybody agrees with it.
Okay.
And
All right.
I believe we're in a loose consensus that the district should do the fence.
I would just add that it is in the bid documents that the contractor will provide security fencing while they're doing the work every
There it
night.
is. There it is then. Okay. Good.
All right, well.
But David makes a good point that after the work's done,
We need
Yeah.
a fence.
we might need a fence.
Mhm.
All right.
But at that time, maybe when that contract is done, the district can probably take over that account for that offense and just pay from then on to have it, for the whole project at that point.
Makes
Sure.
too much sense.
Did you say it makes too much sense?
Yeah, it does. Makes sense.
Something's going right.
You're
tonight.
saying it would be too easy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Remember, we're a public utility. We can't do it the easy way.
Okay, I'll let you moving, okay?
Okay. So
Anyway, so we're done with that, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. We are done.
You can turn the movie
Okay,
back.
I'll move
You
on.
can turn the movie back.
Any
Turn
other
it back
questions
over
or
to
should I move
Jeff.
on? Pardon me?
Bob needs to turn the meeting back over to you now.
Yeah, I'll turn the meeting back over to Jeff.
Okay. The next one is funding options. I thought we weren't going to go through that this
Well,
time.
we weren't, but I forgot to tell you to take it off. So if you can just say you're going to table it till next month.
I think we're just going to table that one unless someone has a question. There's no need to go through it again now. Fire hydrant replacement plan and meter replacement update.
You should have gotten the handout in the mail for that. Did you receive that handout?
Yes,
Yes,
So
yes.
that's
nothing new to report.
not
Okay.
on the hydrant. On the meter replacement, there was new to report, but
Right.
6 active meters left to do.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
and only 1 3/4 inch.
I think we've kind of gone through that.
Yep.
Moving on to new business, resolution authorizing declaration of state of emergency and certain actions during the state of emergency. Gail?
Yep, this came through the Special Districts Association. There isn't any way that is in statute for a district technically to do a state of emergency resolution to authorize declarations of state of emergency. And so this is a one that they sent out. They had it reviewed by attorneys. The only thing on here that is different than what they said is that where it says at the end, the resolution is resolved the day of April, blah, blah, effective retroactively to March 17th. They didn't have that in their resolution, but since that's when Jeff actions, basically declaring a state of emergency was on March 13th and 14th, I forget which date it was. Anyway, so it's up to the board whether you want to go ahead with a resolution authorizing declarations of state of emergency. You obviously can use it in the future too.
Gail, maybe because you're turned away, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I was looking at it. So this is something that came from special districts. It's just something so that it would allow that in the event that there's some reason that we need to be able to declare a state of emergency, this resolution authorizes the district to be able to do that so that then you can take emergency actions. And I researched back through all the resolutions and I looked through the all the policies I could find, and I did not find anywhere that the board had anything stated saying that there was a way for them to declare a state of emergency or a system so that if the board wasn't available, something so dramatic happened that the manager could. And then it usually goes to human resources. We don't have human resources, so then it lists the district clerk, which you can change whatever you want. But anyway, so that you could go on working under a state of emergency. And so that's why this resolution is in here. So you can either move forward with it or not do it. That's up to you. The next item was the declaration of a state of emergency. So if you want to declare that there was one due to the COVID-19 pandemic, because we did change, we do have some policies that we're not currently following, and that this, by declaring the state of emergency, you can take those actions and not follow your policies that you have. So anyway, that's why those are in here, and that's up to the board to decide whether you want to pass those or you don't want to pass those. So hopefully you read them.
Is this one of those where it's better to be safe than sorry? Is this what I mean? As in pass it just in case? Is that, I don't.
It's kind of like if 3 of us died at the same time, the water district could still go on.
Well, yeah, or if there was something that incapacitated you or you guys were unable to be together or something, like if there was earthquakes and you couldn't get here, things like that.
We can still Zoom.
Pandemic. Well, boy, not. No, I'm tired of Zoom. Anyway, but I mean, or like a pandemic, or if you had an emergency where something happened here that all of, a bunch of the pipes, something happened to them, you could declare by having this resolution, then you could declare a state of emergency, or the district manager could declare one, or if only two board members could get together under short notice in an emergency meeting, then they could declare a state of emergency, and you could go outside of your normal purchasing authorities. You could go, you don't have to follow your normal policies or anything. Again, it's only if there were a true emergency. So that's just what.
It feels like a real common sense approach to it, Gail, and the fact that the board or the other agencies have looked at it and been gone through by attorneys, et cetera. To me, it sounds very reasonable that there be some kind of provision made in the event of something terrible happening besides our Zoom not working, maybe, right? So
yeah, I don't know
anyway,
that that's an emergency.
yeah, there's lots of reasons why this really just, I would assume this was in place before, but I was pleased to see when I got it. So
Well, I looked for it, but I can't find
that's
anything.
that's worth I've got on it.
Bob, do you ever remember anything like that? You remember anybody doing anything?
No.
So Gail, do we need a motion to adopt this and then have a first reading, second reading, or how do we proceed?
No, it's resolutions. You can do in one meeting a resolution.
Oh,
when you're changing the policy or you're doing an ordinance. A resolution can be done.
Okay. So we just need a motion to adopt.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to adopt the 2020 April 21st resolution authorizing declarations of a state of emergency and certain actions during a state of emergency. And can I add the second one also? Or should they need to be two different motions?
I would do them separately.
Okay, so stop there. I make a motion, what I just said.
second.
So I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution authorizing declarations of a state of emergency and certain actions during a state of emergency. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that we do have to all sign. So how are we going to accomplish that, or do that next time we meet? That's a question.
Yes.
Does
Well, the
everyone do
next time you meet,
DocuSign?
or when I have some checks to sign and Tyler brings them around, he can bring the resolution around and you can individually sign it.
Or whoever does.
Or we can
DocuSign.
just do it next time we meet or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you passed it, it's fine.
So, okay, so it's passed. So.
I'll make a motion
now,
that we adopt the declaration state of emergency effective March the 17th of 2020.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the declaration of state of emergency effective March 17th, 2020. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, current COVID-19 emergency operation plan.
We sent out what we have been doing as far as the office not being open to foot traffic, and we no longer accept cash payments. We did have it posted on Facebook, at the office, on our website, at the stores, at the post office, so people would know. We have the for social distancing, we have one one utility worker works Monday, Tuesday, the other one works Wednesday, Thursday. Then they alternate Fridays where they work 2 hours to track the treatment plan, or they work longer if there is something that needs to be done, then they'll work the one will work longer that day. In the office, Linda and I,
Yes.
we're both working. We're both working.
Don't always stay 6 feet apart.
Well, no, but yeah, literally. We have a pact that we go to the same grocery store. Linda lives alone, and I only live with Mike. And we go to the same grocery store usually within about an hour of each other. So we feel that we are probably pretty safe. We don't go anywhere else, and then we come here. So, and we try to keep the guys in the back. And if they come in here, we have the Clorox wipes and we wipe everything down and tell them to go back in the back. So that's how we're handling that for now. And we're hoping that that takes care of that.
Well, you were doing really well until you got to the office stuff.
I know. Well, you know, what can I say? we're like Linda says, we're just like family. We're just like, you know, we live together, so it's fine. But anyway, this next month we read meters. Tyler will read meters Monday. Hopefully the bills will go out Tuesday. And the reason I'm talking about that is this month, because of the COVID-19, our plan is that we will send a full-size bill out in a regular envelope with a notice at this point to let the customers know, again, that the office is closed to foot traffic until we get the clear where we can have it open again, and that cash payments should be changed into money orders, and then all the ways that they can pay their bills and that they can still contact us by phone during office hours. So just so you know, that will be going out in an envelope. It'll cost us a little bit more than the postcard, but it will still be bulk mail. So that's just one way. So unless somebody has an objection, that's what our plan is. Anyway, so that's so far what we're doing. I don't think there's anything else. So.
Okay.
All right, guys.
As far as the office staff, I do think we should be social distancing.
Okay.
I know, I mean, I understand you guys are in there, but you do need to be cautious.
Okay.
I have a
We'll stay
question.
in our separate office.
We'll stay in our separate offices.
Okay, thank you.
I have a
Okay, that's what
question
we'll
on
do.
this. The way it's been the last 7 weeks, from my vision point, is Steve's been the only one that could take the computer. And so I don't know, my gut feeling feels this is horribly unfair to have a man, let's say work Monday and Tuesday, but he's got to be on call 7 days, 24 hours a day, and he's only getting paid that $200. You know, I'm personally, I would not want to do it.
Yeah. And
I just
and
don't
Bob,
understand. Is it legal with Bureau of Labor of the state of Oregon? I mean,
so Bob, I don't know. I sent the information out to you guys also that they are being paid 60% of their wages on the days they're not here for their regular days. Like, so if they're not here Monday and Tuesday,
oh, they are getting some
they
compensation.
get 60%. We are a reimbursing employer to unemployment as a government entity. That's how we did ours. So if you put someone on unemployment, and like Steve, since he has the on-call phone, technically you can't put him on unemployment anyway. You can't say he's laid off for a week and then comes back for a week or 2 weeks. But as a reimbursing employer for unemployment, they would pay someone unemployment and then they would just send us the check for that, or the bill for that amount. We would have to pay it anyway. So if we pay 60% of their wages while they're off, even though they're on call. I agree with you. I have been concerned about the on-call phone and one person being responsible for that for 6 weeks. I think that's something that may be going to be addressed later in the meeting and maybe later in the office after the discussion under new business number 4. That's just my opinion.
As far as I know, he hasn't complained that much about it so far, but you know, I was just concerned about it because I talked to him on the phone one day, asked him just how things were going, you know, and he said, I'm getting awful tired of being on call 7 days a week for 7 weeks. You know, and I said, yeah, I understand. I wouldn't want to do it.
But if
Anyway,
they're getting compensated 60% of their wage.
Good. I didn't know that was happening. Yeah, I didn't know that was happening, Jeff. I'm glad.
Okay. I mean, that's pretty good compensation, I would say.
Yeah.
They don't get, the only thing they get compensated on Fridays for is just the hours that they go to the treatment plant. But for the other 2 days when they're not here, they get compensated.
Hey kids, I hate to interrupt. I'm on my iPad and my battery is 5% battery remaining. So if I go silent here, you'll probably be grateful. But,
plug me in.
Right. So
okay, we're gonna try and speed up and get through this.
Okay.
So then the next one. So we're done with that. Moving on to number 4, which we added interim district manager. Our district manager is very ill right now. and I'll leave it at that. He has not been at work for over a month. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Gail, but
Oh, yeah, you're right, more than.
and he is, I did talk to him today. He he's working on it. But in the meantime, I think I would like to propose that we hire David with Hydro Engineering to help us out and come in once a week on a regular basis to make sure that our crews are performing well, and that the treatment plant is performing well, and that our reservoirs that our system is working correctly and we are doing everything correct. I think we need that backup right now, and I'm concerned about that.
You don't need to convince me.
We're down to half staffs, and we're down to minimal out there right now, and I think we need a double check on what we're doing, and to work with Gail in the office moving forward.
I totally concur, and I want clean drinking water. Okay, safe drinking water. So, absolutely. That's
I agree.
Thank you. Do you need a motion on that, or?
Yes, I believe we should.
Could I ask a question first?
Sure.
So would it be, you would be just, are you officially employing David, or are you saying just extending his contract to include?
Extending his contract to include.
Extending his
as an
agreement.
intern. Are you fine with that, David? I didn't get a chance to talk to you today, but I know you talked to Gail. I talked to Gail several times, and I was in the middle of it, so.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's just extending my contract as it is to bring on these additional duties. Come in once a week, great, that's fine. I will keep my social distance. I am already extensively social distancing everything. Yeah, I can come in once a week and check on things. The next 3 weeks, I had talked to Jeff Busto last week about some projects that need to be taken care of this time of the year. Cleaning the ponds. We were prepping to do that. So I'm looking at doing that Monday, Tuesday, doing one pond a week for the next 3 weeks. Actually, I cleaned the rhododendron pond today. And so this kind of lines up with, okay, every Tuesday we will clean a pond for the next 3 weeks. And that'll be great.
Well, and maybe you can, while you're up there, maybe you can do part of it or whatever. I don't know what that all means, just that I think we need some help in getting through this phase. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be a couple of weeks or if it's going to be for 2 months. I do not know.
Actually, in that regard, I'd like to thank you. Thank you, David, for doing this. That's great. It's a great proposal. I'd like to put some sort of check-in time, like 2 months from now, check back in on it, or whatever that time period is you think is correct. Because at some point, if this situation with Jeff and you and whatever it is, and we're moving into needing to do some strategic planning for the fiscal year, I want to kind of move from this filling in kind of piece model that you're talking about to a different kind of conversation about exactly what roles are you taking on, right? Or is someone else taking on? That's a long way of saying, I agree with this, I'm grateful for it. Could we put it on the agenda for 2 or 3 months from now to revisit it and to make any adjustments we need to in it as needed?
I think it should be on every month, Sarah. And another part of my proposal is I would like to be the coordinator or liaison to work with David and report back to the board. But I think it should be revisited every month. Every time we meet, it should be revisited.
So am I hearing in a little bit, Jeff Hargens, that you and Dan might be sort of shifting that mentoring role that you we're going to be doing into a little bit more working with David on this in the
And I'm fine with that too.
No, it's a
Yes.
question. It's a
Yeah,
question.
no, and I think you need a liaison. It'd be nice that David has someone to contact and blah, 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 and discuss things with and what he sees or what needs to be done, and have permission from the board to make some decisions that may need to be made, but report back to the board on any of those decisions.
On
Does
a
that make
month,
sense?
on them every month. Okay.
Every month.
But I think that's different than the liaison that you were planning, that I think the other one still is intact.
It is different.
Okay.
Yeah, it is
Okay,
different.
fine. Thank you. And thanks, David.
And whether it be Dan and myself or just me, I don't care either one. I just think there should be a liaison discussing things with David
Okay.
on a regular basis, whether that's every week or whatever that is.
Okay.
Thanks for doing that, Jeff.
Well, I think it's critical right
Yes,
now
it
to
is.
make sure that we have good water.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Do we need a motion and a second still?
Okay, I thought I did. No.
I didn't.
Gordon's drinking wine.
I know, I sent him a chat notice about that saying I was jealous. He says we're on duty, all of us, so we can't have any.
Yes, so I do need it. We should have a motion, don't you think, Gail?
Yes, you absolutely need a motion, yes.
Well, let's see.
Whoever wants it.
I guess I started this mess. So let's see. I make a motion that we hire David on a once a week position to extend his contract, right? To add these duties on, and that our chairman Jeff Hargens agrees to liaison and get a report to the board monthly. Is that adequate, Gail?
I'd like to ask that we put some sort of expectation of what that means. Is it 8 hours a week? Is it, what would you see would be the not to exceed on this additional time?
I would say 1 day, which would be one 8-hour day, not to exceed. It may only be 4 hour. I don't know what that means. That probably doesn't include his regular stuff like he's cleaning.
Oh, I know.
Whatever he's scheduled to do.
But
so this would be 8 hours per week as an interim manager, and then I would think that you would want to list unless there is a water emergency. Because if we had a mainline blowout, then
or less
David
authorized.
Yeah. So that's we
less
have
authorized. I like that. Right.
Yeah.
Does that work, David, for you?
Yeah. The emergencies, I'm already there.
I know.
Okay.
Been a couple of emergencies where I showed up and okay, what needs to happen? That's place. The 8 hours per week, that's fine. They'll just be set for one of my days per week to go to Corbett.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
that's what I would add to.
Do I have a motion and revised motion, and do I have a second?
Revised as stated by Sarah. Yes.
I'll second that.
And I have a motion and a double second to have David with Hydro Engineering fill in as an interim manager while Jeff Busto is out, limited to not to exceed 8 hours a week to help the district facilitate fresh drinking water. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay. Manager's report.
Yeah.
Is this the staff report, not manager's report?
Right, it was
Yeah.
just the clerk report.
Gail, did you want to read it, or we just kind of know everything on here?
I don't, you can, I figured you already read it. I just want to we already talked about the COVID-19, that we've changed the foot traffic. State receivables, just that note that we sent out late notices, but with no late fees, and no meters were shut off for non-payment. So when the bills go out next week, the end of next week, there will be people who are going to get a really big balance forward on some of their bills. And so we'll see what happens with receivables. And also if we continue not to send late fees or do shut-offs. Let's see, the meter reading and the water bills have been going out very quickly with the new meter reading system. Tyler reads the meters for half a day, and Linda and I get the bills out by the next day. So we've been pretty quick on that. The meter replacement, you already know about that. And there was a water main break on Rashawn and one on Manti. Those were taken care of. And the lab samples, we haven't had any violations. Everything's been being done in a timely manner. And we have a couple samples that were removed from our requirements because after last year, we met all of the requirements for those samples. And so now we should have fewer, the bills for our lab samples should go down a little bit because a couple of the big ones they took out.
I have a quick question on this. That 6-inch meter, is that at the job corps or the school? Where is that meter that we haven't replaced yet? And is it
Linda says Crestview.
The big 6-inch one is?
Yes, Crestview.
Yeah, well, they're not open anyway, so if it isn't working, we're not losing money.
Right. Well, it works. It's just an old one. It's just,
okay.
You know, it still works. Yeah, we still read it. So.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Public comments.
Gordon, you can say yes or, I mean, shake your head yes or no. Do you want me to ask the board that last question? Yes? Okay. So Gordon and I and Linda with me, we've been chatting with Gordon here. We can chat with him in writing. So we talked a little bit about your agreement, which that's fine. He said, I am curious if the district is really getting the necessary work done at half staff, in parentheses, men. If so, why don't we move forward that way, equals after the pandemic? That's the question. And then he asked me for a copy of the manager's report, which I'll do tomorrow, Gordon. I'll email that to you. So anyway, that's Gordon's comment from the public.
So
what do you mean by move forward that way? More outsourcing?
If they're really, if the district, I mean, if district is really getting the necessary work done at half staff, if so, why don't we move forward that way? I would assume Gordon's meaning, if we can do it with half the people right now, why don't we move forward using fewer staff?
Well, I guess I could work on answering that question. I think right now they're just doing the stuff necessary to maintain. I don't think there's any maintenance or anything else being done in the district right now.
Exactly.
Like going around. I mean, basically they're pretty much taking care of the treatment plant, maybe some locate calls and a couple other things that calls coming in, and that's about all they do right now.
Yeah. And that, we can't do that forever, Gordon, or the whole damn district will blow up.
So.
But I do think it's exactly the sort of conversation that we are up against, strategically deciding on, are we an outsourcing district for contractors? Is that the way we're going to go? Yes or no? Are we, given the staff that are on salary, what's the performance management sort of scheme around them? I mean, evaluations, we haven't talked about that in a while. And so I think this is like a really, and of course the illness and, you know, on and on, but this is really critical. And I don't think we can afford to just let this slide every month and say, oh, we need to talk about this. you know.
Gordon had one other thing. He said, how many men do we need long-term if we contract most things out? And I think you're already talking about the fact you need to start.
We've been discussing that. Exactly what Sarah was talking about.
Right.
It's too bad your mic doesn't work, Gordon.
He would have been slurping that wine really loud. If
any other comments?
Let's go to sleep.
Right on target.
There you go, Jeff.
There you go. That is what I'm talking about.
Where's Malcolm? Did you have a comment?
I said that Sarah's right on target there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But everybody notice this is water drips. This is my water mask.
Okay.
Can we close this meeting now?
Moving on. Suggestions. I'm getting done. Suggestions for future agenda items. Do we need to cover anything? I think we've got it.
Just our nose and mouth is our phone thing.
So Sarah, I wanted to ask who fixed the leaks that were mentioned. Were that district or was that contract?
Oh, and Monty, and then on
Mershon.
The Monty breaks were caused by the county road crew hit a 4-inch main line on Monty, and we did most of that work, and then we had some of the final stuff done. I think one guy from Lubbock came out and assisted one day, and then the water break on. Oh, and that happened because we did not receive the locate request for that. It wasn't the county's fault. It was locate did not send us one. And that line is apparently out in a very weird spot on Monty and not even where you would think apparently the water line is. And then the water main break on Mershon was Mershon and the highway. And the contractor from Reliance Connects just barely, I don't even know if they really hit anything bad or anything, but it was just, actually, when did that one happen? That one happened in February. Jeff and Steve ran up there and it took a few minutes and they put whatever back together and it was fine. So that was.
Good job.
It was handled in-house. Okay, good.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you to everybody for doing their Zoom stuff. It only took us 11 practice.
Oh yeah, I wanted to thank Gail for setting all this Zoom stuff up.
And Linda, and Linda.
And Linda. Yes, you guys did
Coming
great.
to the meeting, everybody.
Okay, we need a second. Who's the second?
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting at 9:30. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. See everybody over
Okay,
at Gordon.
bye. Thanks, Gordon, for coming.
Yes. Right. See
Bye,
you there later,
Malcolm.
Gordon.
Bye, David.
Bye-bye.
What kind of clock you working on? I got 9:41.
Meeting for all.